Chapter 1844. Time flew by. 3 months passed in a flash. The 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect was completed. The sudden appearance of a huge sect attracted the attention of many people. Some of them noticed that this sect was different. They found that this new sect was very similar to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect that was destroyed by the 3 immortal kings a long time ago. The news spread quickly, and many people rushed over after hearing the news. In less than 3 days, almost the entire immortal realm knew about it, but they were just curious. Everyone knew that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect no longer existed, and Wancheng was suppressed in the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. As for the ascended Wanhua, his cultivation was so low that it was impossible for him to make a name for himself. The news spread in the north region. Naturally, it spread to the Jade Sword sect. "Master, I just received news that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect has reappeared." Xianyi rushed into the hall with his sword on his back. Pfft! Xianjun spat out the tea in his mouth. Xianyi, who was standing in front of him, caught it all. "What did you just say?" Xianjun asked with his eyes wide open. Xianyi wiped the tea off his face and repeated. "There are rumors everywhere in the north region that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect has reappeared, and some say that Wancheng escaped from the Kunlun Immortal Mountain long ago. Wancheng escaped from the Kunlun Immortal Mountain and made the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect reappear?" Xianjun repeated. But after he understood, he laughed loudly. "This is probably fake news spread by someone who has nothing better to do. Wancheng was suppressed by me, by Xianling, and Gu Hua. How could he escape? If he could break the seal, he would have escaped long ago. How could he appear after such a long time?" Xianjun shook his head. This was the funniest joke he had ever heard. "Master, what about the reappearance of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect?" Xianyi felt that Xianjun's words made sense. How could a mere immortal monarch break the seal of the 3 immortal kings? Use your ass to think. With the 10,000 mounts sealed, Jiang Chen's cultivation is only at the immortal realm. Does he dare to establish a new sect? Xianjun stood up and said with his hands behind his back. "Not to mention the 3 of us, as long as he dares to establish a sect, just those sects that the 10,000 Creations Immortal sect has offended before will be enough to make him suffer. I really don't know who spread such boring news," Xianyi said. "How about this? You go and see what's going on. No one would spread this kind of news for no reason." Although Xianjun denied it, he still couldn't resist his curiosity. "I'll go now." Xianyi nodded and threw out the sword in his hand. He stepped on it and flew away. 2 hours later, Xianyi returned. "Am I right?" Xianjun said indifferently. "Wancheng really hasn't appeared. He's still suppressed in Kunlun Celestial Mountain." Xianyi's expression was complicated. "Haha, immortal monarchs want to break our seal? What a fantasy!" Xianjun laughed heartily. "Although Wancheng's strength is comparable to an immortal king's, all opportunities have long been sealed. But Master, although Wancheng's celestial monarchs haven't appeared, the Wancheng celestial sect has indeed been established." Xianyi didn't want to tell the truth when he saw Xianjun's smug look. However, if he didn't tell the truth, he was afraid that Xianjun would vent his anger on him when he heard the news. "What?" Xianjun was stunned. "It's established by Jiangchen, and the location of the Wancheng celestial sect is very close to the Heaven Secret Pavilion." Xianyi decided to tell the whole story in one go. "According to our information, Jiangchen is not only the pavilion master of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, but also the alliance leader of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. I'm afraid it's not easy to deal with him there. No matter where his sect is, it's not easy to deal with him." Xianjun narrowed his eyes. Jiang Chen's action was beyond his expectation. Since Jiang Chen had shown his strength in the sect, he had decided not to fight with him again. However, even if he didn't do anything, it didn't mean that others wouldn't. Why? Xianyi was confused. He still hated Jiang Chen very much. He has the protection of Bai Xianling and Gu Hua and... Xianjun was about to mention Zhou Kunlun, but he stopped halfway and said, Who do you think can touch him? Are we really going to let him establish the Wancheng celestial sect? Xianyi was not convinced. He even wanted to go to the sect and kick it down. Let's wait and see. Given his relationship with Nian Chang'e, he will definitely inform us after the sect is established. Let's go and see what's going on then. Xianjun pondered for a while. Okay, master. Xianyi agreed. Go and do your thing. Remember to pay attention to the news outside. If there's anything about the Wancheng celestial sect, tell me immediately. Xianjun reminded Xianyi when he walked out of the hall. Under the gaze of almost the entire North region, the Wancheng celestial sect was completely established. Jiangqin spent nearly 2 months and nearly 5 billion immortal jades to restore the sect to its original state. Even the table and the chair were almost the same as Jiangqin's memory. When the last thing was placed, Jiangqin sat on the stone steps in silence as he looked at the brand new Wancheng celestial sect. When he ascended from the lower realm, he carried the heavy responsibility of restoring the glory of the Wancheng celestial sect. And by then, this school didn't just contain Jiangqin's earliest will. Among them, it also had the responsibility of reviving the Qianhe sect. Bai Xiaoyun sat beside Jiangqin and looked at the reappearance of the Wancheng celestial sect. She could imagine how glorious this sect was in the immortal realm. If it wasn't for that incident, it should be one of the top sects in the immortal realm. Is it all packed? Bai Xiaoyun threw her sword aside and asked. Yes, it's all packed. Jiangqin nodded. From now on, if anyone dares to harm the Wancheng celestial sect, I will not rest until he or she is dead. Don't worry. With the Intelligence Pavilion's help, what happened to the 10,000 Creations Immortal School won't happen again. Bai Xiaoyun comforted Jiangqin when she saw him in such a bad mood. But when she said it, she felt that something was wrong. With the Divination Pavilion, wasn't it the sect master of the Divination Pavilion, the white-robed immortal king, who did it? Jiangqin didn't care, but stood up and said in a deep voice. Eldest senior brother, I want to ask you to do me a favor. Just tell me. Bai Xiaoyun also stood up. I'll trouble you and the other brothers of the Divination Pavilion to send the news to all the sects and clans that have a good relationship with us. Tell them to gather here in 30 days. I want the immortal realm to see what kind of strength the Wancheng celestial sect has after I, Jiangqin, ascended. Jiangqin took a deep breath and said slowly. Chapter 1845. All the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion were dispatched. North Region, South Region, East Region, more than a dozen sects and families received the news of Jiangqin almost immediately. And without a doubt, they all agreed. At the same time, Jiangqin also released the news. After 30 days, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect would reappear in the immortal world, and everyone was welcome to visit. This news caused an even greater uproar when it came out. Although they all knew about the situation of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect before. But that was only what they saw. And now, Jiangqin, the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, had personally admitted it. This was undoubtedly a heavy bomb in the immortal world. Another 30 days passed quietly. At the entrance of the sect, the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion and the people of the overseas Immortal Mountain gathered, and some of the nearby sects had also gathered here early. However, this group of people only watched the situation from afar and did not dare to approach at all. Near noon, the outside of this sect was already crowded with onlookers. When they saw that there were nearly 30 immortal kings beside Jiangqin, they all resisted the urge to cry out in alarm, so as to avoid being looked down upon by the people around them. No one expected that Jiangqin would be able to pull so many experts in such a short time after ascending to the immortal world. Among these sects and itinerant cultivators, besides being shocked, there were some who were envious, some who affirmed Jiangqin and the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, and some who were jealous. The 9 mountain masters of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain in the North region have arrived. With Long Dade's shout, everyone hurriedly raised their heads. In midair, a number of biting cold auras could be felt. Under everyone's gaze, 9 figures appeared uniformly in front of the sect gate. Mountain Masters, In front of so many people, Jiangchen stepped forward and cupped his hands in salute. "Please come in," Bai Xiaoyan also said. Including Xian Yu and Wei Yu, the 9 of them did not speak and directly entered the sect. "I heard that Jiangchen was once a disciple of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, but later was kicked out for some reason. I didn't expect that the 9 mountain masters would come to support him now." Sighs and sighs could be heard. Eastern Region Thousand Harmony Sect's Grand Elder Su Qian and Second Elder Su Yun Dian have arrived. Long Dade looked at the name list in his hand, and combined it with the look Jiang Yuan gave him. He could tell who had arrived. Thousand Harmony Sect. Has this sect not interacted with the outside world for a long time? Compared to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, Su Qian's arrival here shocked them even more. No matter what, Jiangchen used to be a disciple of the Kunlun Celestial Mountain. Although it was strange for the 9 mountain lords to come here, it was still somewhat understandable. However, it was unacceptable for them to come from a sect in the eastern domain. "Here comes Citra Clan, Netherworld Gang, and Fire Dragon Hall. The Northern Region Celestial Palace has arrived!" Long Dade's voice continued to ring out. As he spoke, powerful auras appeared one after another at the entrance of the sect. "First Elder Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy has arrived. Master Song Yuanjia of the Ganges Bank has arrived. Manor Master Wei Dason of the Heaven Province Bank has arrived." When this group of people heard Long Dade's voice, they were almost numb. Everyone present was quite famous, but now they had all gathered at the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect. They didn't even need to think about it. Even though this sect had just been established, it was already a super sect that had a great influence in the whole North Field and even in the Immortal Realm because of its connections and the Immortal Kings next to Jiangchen. Master Hu Xian of the Fire Phoenix Clan of the Southern Region has arrived. Master Ao Zhan of the Ancient Void Dragon Clan of the Southern Region has arrived. If they were just numb before, now they were a little numb. Forget about the forces in the northern and eastern domains. Now even 2 of the 6 great spiritual beasts of the southern region had come. This kind of network was beyond their imagination. Master of the Jade Sword Sect, one of the 3 Immortal Kings, Immortal King Xian Jun, has arrived. However, another sentence made them completely dumbfounded. 3 long swords swept down from the sky. The ones flying on the swords were Xian Jun, Xian Yi, and Xian Er. "Oh my God! Even Immortal King Xian Jun can be invited?" "No, as far as I know, the destruction of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect and the suppression of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Duke were caused by these 3 Immortal Kings. This Xian Jun is the culprit. Why is he here? Look at the people around Jiangchen. I'm afraid even Xian Jun has to be wary of him. Do you want to die by discussing this? If Immortal King Xian Jun hears this, you won't live past tonight." When Xian Jun appeared, the onlookers outside were all in an uproar. Now that nearly 1/3 of the experts in the immortal world had gathered at Jiangchen's place, who else in the immortal world could do this? "Young friend Jiangchen, we meet again." Xian Jun looked at Jiangchen. After sensing that there was no aura of Bai Xianling and Gu Hua, he asked with a smile. "It's such an important day to show the strength of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect to the immortal world. Why aren't your 2 masters here? Immortal King Xian Jun, you should know that my 2 masters don't like to show their faces in public." Jiangchen replied with a faint smile. Xian Jun did not care about the meaning of Jiangchen's words. "You really surprised me. I didn't expect you to have so much power to gather so many experts here." "It's all because of the senior's care," Jiangchen replied casually. "Let's go and take a look at the new 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect." Xian Jun walked past Jiangchen and said, "If nothing goes wrong, this sect will become a top sect in the immortal world in the future. We won't come here again. Be careful." Xian Yi and Xian Er threatened Jiangchen in unison when they walked past him. However, Jiangchen completely ignored them, as if he did not hear them at all. "They're not here?" Jiangchen asked. "Aren't you here?" Long Dade looked at the name of the sect on the list and asked. Basically, all the sects and families on the list were here. Only the Love Valley was here. Sect leader Wang Min? Looking at the name, Long Dade fell into deep thought. Based on his experience of following Jiang Chun for so many years, as well as the expression and tone of Jiang Chun when he spoke to him, he could guess without any analysis. There was definitely something going on between Jiang Chun and the Lord of the Love Valley. Forget it if they're not here. Jiang Chun had a premonition in his heart. However, he was a little disappointed when it turned out to be true. Those who could be invited were all here, and he had maintained his face. He wanted to let the immortal world see how strong he was after he ascended. However, just as Jiang Chun was about to enter and introduce everyone, he suddenly heard an angry roar. Xian Jun, stand out for me! Hu Xian stood on the stone steps of the main hall and roared. I can already sense your aura. Don't be a coward and make me look down on you! Chapter 1846. Jiang Chun hurriedly asked the people of the Divine Secret Pavilion to close the sect door. Isn't this the clan leader of the flame-bathing Phoenix clan, Hu Xian? Being called out in front of so many experts, even if Xian Jun was not afraid of Hu Xian, he still felt embarrassed. That's right, it's me. Immortal King Xian Jun, in front of these experts invited by Jiang Chun, tell us why you stole the corpse of our flame-bathing Phoenix clan's ancestor, and even took out his inner core. Where's the inner core? Hand it over. For Jiang Chun's sake, I can pretend that nothing happened. Hu Xian walked down and stared at Xian Jun. He did not want to fall out with Xian Jun on this day, but when he sensed Xian Jun's cultivation, he could not help it. After all, the ancestor's corpse had been refined and stolen. No one would be able to accept this. Su Qian and the others, who knew that Jiang Chun was from the flame-bathing Phoenix clan, remained silent. The best way now was to let Xian Jun and Hu Xian settle it themselves. However, when they sensed that the atmosphere was getting more and more subtle, everyone left quietly. Everyone here was related to Jiang Chun. If they continued to stay here, a more serious conflict might break out and even embarrass Jiang Chun. In just a few seconds, everyone had disappeared without a trace. Only Jiang Chun, Bai Xiaoyun, Hu Fu, Hu Xian, Xian Jun, and his two sword disciples were left. Clan leader Hu Xian, today is a good day for the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. If you have anything to say, we can talk about it after today. There's no need to argue here. Xian Jun suppressed his anger and pretended to be calm. Young master, what do you think? Without anyone else, Hu Xian did not care about that anymore. You called him young master? Xian Jun frowned. He did not expect this form of address. My daughter, Hu Fu, is the sect-guarding spiritual beast of Emperor Qianji. You should know, right? Hu Xian sneered. He had said that because he knew that it wouldn't cause any trouble after he said it. I know, Xian Jun replied. Jiang Chun is the inheritor who has been recognized by Emperor Qianji. Do you think I should call him young master? Hu Xian walked towards Xian Jun step by step. A huge phoenix phantom appeared behind him. The purpose of this action was very obvious. That was, if Xian Jun did not give him a satisfactory answer today, then it would be impossible for him to leave the matter at that. Hu Xian, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are the leader of the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan. In the current immortal world, the cultivation of the three immortal kings is still at the top. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 stood on either side of Xian Jun. As the two of them spoke, the seals in their hands changed constantly, and tens of long swords appeared in the sky. Like a torrential downpour, they rained down on the sect and floated behind them. You really got the recognition of Monarch Qianji. Xian Jun turned to look at Jiang Chun. He had also been to the Immortal Emperor's tomb when it first appeared. On the surface, he argued with Jiang Chun and left after confronting Su Qian. But in fact, he ordered Mystic 1 to observe nearby. When he knew that Jiang Chun finally came out of the tomb and even brought out two powerful spirit beasts, Xian Jun had this feeling. It was only today that he was completely sure. Fortunately, I got the recognition of Emperor Qianji, so I got the title of Young Master of Tianji Sect. Jiang Chun shrugged and took 2 steps back. He was not going to intervene in today's matter. You two, don't do anything. Step aside, Xianjun said in a low voice. Yes, Master. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 retreated. I really didn't expect that I would be forced to this point. Xianjun sneered and looked at Huixian. Huixian, do you really want to know? Yes. As long as immortal King Xianjun tells me the truth, I will not pursue this matter. Huixian nodded and said in a deep voice. You took my ancestors' inner core. Are you not even willing to tell me what you did with it? Okay. I once told Jiangchen that if you want to know what I did with the inner core, let the patriarch of the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan ask in person. Since you are here today, then I will say it. However, Patriarch Huixian, let's talk in private. After saying this, Xianjun soared into the sky and entered the main hall of the sect. Seeing this, Huixian directly followed. Jiangchen sighed helplessly. I'm sorry. Huafu walked in front of Jiangchen, lowered her head, and gently tugged at the corner of Jiangchen's clothes. I didn't expect Father to ask in front of so many people. It's okay, I can understand. Jiangchen smiled and reached out to touch her head. If he encountered this kind of thing, he would ask clearly regardless of the occasion. If he pretended that nothing had happened, it would not affect others, but there was no way to explain to his heart, and no way to explain to the ancestor. Father even told him your identity. Huafu lowered her head even more. It doesn't matter. With Xianjun's ability, I'm afraid he has already guessed it when you and Jian Yuan have been following me. Now that the Patriarch of Huixian said it personally, it's only a matter of time. Jiangchen shook his head. Hearing Jiangchen's words, Huafu felt much better. Sensing that those people were hiding in various parts of the sect, Jiangchen called Long Dade to his side and asked forces like the Citra family, an underworld gang to return for the time being. About half an hour later, the door of the main hall suddenly opened. Xianjun stepped on his long sword and rushed out. Watching him leave, Xianyi and Xianer glared at Jiangchen and followed on their swords. In the main hall, Jiangchen called Su Qian, Lin Baichao, Xianyu and Wei Yuan. These people were all people that Jiangchen absolutely trusted. Sitting inside, Jiangchen felt a little uncomfortable. Sitting on his left was Huafu, on his right was Bai Fingyu, and opposite him was Xianyu. These three women were now gathered in one place. Feeling the killing intent in their eyes, Jiangchen couldn't help but shiver. Everyone, I'm really sorry. The matter of our Bathing Flame Phoenix clan has affected everyone. Huixian stood in the middle and apologized to everyone. Patriarch of Huixian, did Xianjun tell you? Jiangchen asked impatiently. He told me the truth. Huixian nodded. This matter will end here. I won't mention it again in the future. I hope everyone won't take it to heart. Patriarch of Huixian, please take a seat. Jiangchen got up and quickly left the encirclement of the three. As the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect and now in the sect, Jiangchen walked to the main seat and sat down. Now, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect has reappeared in the immortal world. Chapter 1847. And I am not only the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, but also the young master of the Tianji Sect. Everyone here is very trusted by me, Jiangchen. In the future, we are bound to advance and retreat together, so I will tell you the truth. Jiangchen pondered for a while and got up. The Kunlun Immortal Mountain where the Xianhua Mountain Lord and Weihua Mountain Lord are, the Fire Phoenix Clan where the Fire Phoenix Clan is, and the absent Dharma Void Ancient Dragon Clan, including the Citra Clan, the Underworld Gang, and the Fire Dragon Hall, all belong to my 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. The Heaven and Earth Pharmacy where Elder Lin Baichao is, and the Ganges Bank in the northern region, because of my identity as the young master of the 1,000 Mounts Sect, will appear in the sect today. While Jiangchen was talking, everyone got to know each other. Only one person sat on the bench and did not get up for a long time. Great Elder. Seeing Su Qian's strange look, Jiangchen quickly stepped forward and asked softly. Among these people, Jiangchen respected him the most. The 1,000 Mounts Sect and the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect had nothing to do with each other, but Su Qian helped him without hesitation and even offended the Black Gate sect master and Xian Jun Immortal King. "I'm fine, I just suddenly feel a little uncomfortable." Su Qian waved to Jiangchen and then gasped for breath. "Do you want me to help you to rest?" Jiangchen reached out and held his arm. "Okay." With the help of Jiangchen, Su Qian stood up. After everyone in the hall saw this, they stopped talking and stared at him worriedly. "Everyone, this old man is still old, and recently, I'm not feeling well. I'm sorry to disturb everyone's mood." Su Qian bowed slightly and said in a hoarse voice, "Great Elder Su should go to rest quickly." Supporting Su Qian, he walked out of the hall and went to the guest room not far away. Jiangchen did not leave, but stood by the bed and waited quietly. "Jiangchen, you should go back as well. Now that all the experts have gathered here, you are the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect and the young master of the 1,000 Harmony sect. How can you leave halfway?" Su Qian smiled at Jiangchen and said, "Great Elder, if you need anything, just say the word. I can rush over at any time." Jiangchen hesitated for a moment before nodding and leaving the room. After lying on the bed for a while, tears flowed out of Su Qian's eyes. Even his body was trembling uncontrollably due to his emotions. As a subsect of the Qianji sect, only the sect master could take the initiative to contact the Qianji emperor. Even he had never been to the sect. After the great battle, the sect master went into seclusion to recuperate from his injuries, and he supported the entire 1,000 Harmony sect, and to find the whereabouts of the surviving members of the Tianji zone. However, hundreds of thousands of years had passed, and under the premise of not exposing his identity, he had never been able to find any information. He had even thought that only their subsect had luckily survived. However, just now, Jiangchen actually said that the Ganges Bank and the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy were the same as him, the surviving forces of the sect. For a time, Su Qian was surprised and happy. He felt that the knot in his heart had finally been untied. He was also happy that other than their 1,000 Harmony sect, there were others who would spare no effort to help Jiangchen. The complex emotions made him unable to bear it, and he fell ill. "Is Great Elder Su Qian all right?" Seeing Jiangchen return to the main hall, everyone hurriedly asked. "It's nothing, just a little uncomfortable," Jiangchen said. "I really didn't expect that the 1,000 Harmony sect, which has nothing to do with us, would repeatedly help the young master. If possible, we can directly pull him to our 10,000 Creations Immortal sect. I'm afraid that the strength of the Immortal sect will undergo a qualitative change." From the conversation just now, Xian also understood the situation. "Yes, it is said that his cultivation is not much weaker than the 3 Immortal Kings." Lin Baichao held his hands behind his back. "When the Ganges Bank and the Tianfu Bank had a conflict, I once saw Great Elder Su Qian fight with Immortal King Xian Jun." Bai Shaoyun followed suit. "Oh?" Everyone's gaze converged. Even Xian Yu slightly glanced sideways. After all, everyone present only knew of Xian Jun's strength and heard of Su Qian's cultivation. They had never fought with either of them. They both had their wins and losses. Great Elder Su Qian was beaten until his qi and blood surged and retreated. Although Xian Jun was slightly better, his aura was also fluctuating. Bai Shaoyun recalled and said, "Find an opportunity to fan the flames. Since Great Elder Su Qian is so good to you, he should agree." Xian's voice was like a deep bell, as if he was giving Jiangchen an order. "I'll try my best." Jiangchen smiled. "By the way, White Immortal King, I remember that the sect leader of your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is also the young master, right?" Lin Baichao looked at Bai Shaoyun and asked. "Yes, not only our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, but even the alliance leader of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance is his." Bai Shaoyun nodded. "I think it's better to merge your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion into the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. This way, it will be more convenient for the young master to manage." Lin Baichao stroked his white goatee and said, "I'm afraid that's not possible." Bai Shaoyun rejected firmly. If Bai Xianling returned, not only would she see the reappearance of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, but even the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion would be gone. All the disciples of the pavilion would be under Jiangchen. She would probably go crazy on the spot. Elder Lin, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is the sect of Big Senior Brother's father. Many of the disciples in the pavilion have deep feelings for the previous sect leader. If we were to merge into the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, I'm afraid the disciples would disagree. Jiangchen quickly stood out and explained. Then let's find an opportunity. Lin Baichao signaled to Jiangchen with his eyes. Understood. Jiangchen instantly understood and nodded slightly at him. After chatting for a while in the main hall, everyone left one after another. Those who were here were either the clan leader or the sect leader. Each of them had countless matters to attend to. Xian Yu, Wei Yu, and the other mountain lords were the first to leave. Hu Xian also returned to the southern region with Ao Zhan. Lin Baichao and Song Yuanzhou went to the Ganges bank, and the others gradually left. After sending them off, Jiangchen went to Su Qian's room again. Why are you here again? After resting for a while, Su Qian obviously felt more comfortable. When he saw Jiangchen coming in from outside, he asked with some dissatisfaction. They've all left. Jiangchen sat on the bed and said, I really didn't expect that. When I first met you, you were just a level 3 true immortal kid. I didn't expect you to grow so fast in the blink of an eye. Even 2 of the spiritual beast clans in the southern region have joined you. They are the most powerful ones, the Bathed in Fire Phoenix clan and the Fanju Ancient Dragon. Looking at the skinny young man beside him, Su Qian couldn't help but reach out and pat his shoulder. Chapter 1848. If it weren't for Great Elder's repeated help, I'm afraid I would be long gone. Recalling his experience in the eastern region, Jiangchen smiled and said, In fact, even without me, there would be others who would help you. Su Qian sat up from the bed and said, Now you can be considered as a true expert. Even the experts you can mobilize now can fight against the 3 immortal kings. I have also heard some things about the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Grand Elder, what do you know? Jiangchen asked immediately. I vaguely know. As far as I know, the 3 immortal kings just wanted to suppress your father, but the sect resisted fiercely, so they had to resort to a bad plan. The Great Elder said in a low voice, knowing that Jiangchen would definitely feel uncomfortable talking about this matter. But now that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect had been established, it was inevitable to face these old matters directly. Yes, with the strength of the 3 immortal kings, they had the ability to directly kill my father, but they didn't have the intention to kill him. They just sealed my father in the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Jiangchen nodded and said, Back then, he had no chance to investigate the incident at all. And at that time, he didn't know Bai Xianling or Guhua. But in Bai Xuanling's words, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect was destroyed, his father was suppressed, and it was caused by the heavenly Tao. They had no choice but to do so. Even now that he had ascended, the fate of the 3 immortal kings was firmly tied to him. This made Jiangchen feel very strange. Now, the only one that the 3 immortal kings can see and touch is Immortal King Xianjun. Su Qian continued. Do you want to go directly to him and ask the reason for that incident? No. Jiangchen shook his head very firmly. Then he told Su Qian all the news he got in the western region. Black Sky Emperor is resurrected? Su Qian was shocked after hearing it. That seems to be the case for now, and if my guess is right, Hikari should be the most crucial part of the resurrection of Black Sky Emperor. As for him saying that he needs my soul to make a deal, or even to use it as a bargaining chip, I guess. Jiangchen narrowed his eyes and gradually deduced according to the clues he knew. The more he knew, the clearer the path before Jiangchen's eyes became. Guess what? Seeing Jiangchen pause, Su Qian asked. Nothing. Jiangchen shook her head. She didn't want to expose her mother's situation for the time being, even if the person in front of her was Su Qian, a person who had poured out his heart and lungs to help her. This news really caught me off guard. When Black Sky Emperor left the Qianji zone, he should have been seriously injured. It was almost certain that he had fallen. Su Qian also fell into deep thought. Oh? How does Great Elder know that Black Sky Emperor is seriously injured? Jiang Chen frowned slightly. He remembered that he had never mentioned this situation. Except for himself, I am afraid that no one else has the ability to enter the deepest part of the Immortal Emperor Tomb enchantment. Otherwise, the identity of the young master would not fall on his own head. Didn't you say resurrection? The only possibility is that he was seriously injured when he fought with Qianji Emperor. Am I wrong? Su Qian smiled. Yes, it's true. Jiang Chen nodded and responded. As the master of Hikari, you have to find a way to save her from the hands of the Black Sky Emperor before she is in danger, and you, as the young master of the Qianji Zone, have to stop the resurrection of Black Sky Emperor. After all, if he is resurrected, let's not talk about whether the immortal world will suffer. The first one who will suffer is you, the young master. Seeing Jiang Chen dispel his doubts, Su Qian continued. Yes, that's right. Jiang Chen shrugged helplessly. I didn't expect that these things would all be pressed on you. Su Qian looked at Jiang Chen with some heartache. Don't worry, kid, I will always stand behind you. Qianhe sect will always be your backing. Great Elder, I have always had a question. Jiang Chen hesitated for a while, but still asked. This question had been in his heart for a long time, but he had never had a suitable opportunity to ask. Now it was time to ask. Ask, I'll see if I know. Su Qian said. I just met you once at the auction, and then cooperated in the Immortal Emperor Tomb. You are not a member of the Qianji Zone, nor are you a subordinate force of our 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. Why would you help me at all costs? Black Gate Sect Master, Xianjun Immortal King. These are all existences that others avoid. Jiang Chen looked at Su Qian and slowly spoke out all the doubts in his heart. Is this your question? Hearing Jiang Chen's words, Su Qian shook his head and then laughed. In the end, he kept hammering his chest with his hand. Don't tell me that Great Elder doesn't think that you are too good to me? Jiang Chen frowned and said. You brat, it's not good for someone to be good to you. You still have to get to the bottom of it. It's really strange. After laughing, Su Qian slowly said. But I'm very curious. Great Elder doesn't need to take these risks for me. Jiang Chen's eyes were firm. Today, he had to ask the answer. Do you really want to know? Seeing Jiang Chen's unrelenting expression, the Great Elder asked. Yes. Jiang Chen nodded. Well, since you want to know so much, then I'll tell you. I'm good to you for two reasons. First, I feel that you have a good character and your talent is very high. At my age, I'm no longer interested in cultivation. I also know that my cultivation has reached its limit, so I want to do my best to nurture you and see how far you can go. Protecting you is also for this reason. Although you are not my disciple, my feelings for you are that of a master's disciple. You can't deny this, right? Under Jiang Chen's gaze, Su Qian said. Actually, in my heart, I also treat Great Elder as a master. Jiang Chen was touched. Second, I told you before in the sect that if I help you, then if our Qianhe sect encounters trouble in the future, you have to help. Kid, don't tell me you regret it? Su Qian held back his sour tears, took a deep breath, and continued. Of course not, but judging from the Grand Elder's strength, I don't think the Qianhe sect will run into any trouble. Jiang Chen said. Haha, who can say for sure what will happen in the immortal world? Emperor Qianji's cultivation is very high, but he still fell to the point of death. Even his sect was completely destroyed. I am not an immortal emperor, how can I guarantee my safety? Su Qian said. Chapter 1849. As it turns out, I was indeed the one who profited from the agreement I made with you back then. Now there are more and more experts around you. In the future, if our Thousand Harmony sect is in danger, you must not let it go. A smile appeared on Su Qian's face again. What are you talking about? I'm the same as the Great Elder. If the Thousand Harmony sect is in trouble, I will gather all the strength I can mobilize to help. Everyone who is here today and those who are not, other than Xianjun, will appear. Jiangchen put his hand on his chest and said, "Well, with your words, I'm relieved." Su Qian replied with satisfaction. "Then, Great Elder, you should recuperate first. There are still some things in the sect that I need to deal with." After getting the answer to the question that had been in his heart for a long time, Jiangchen relaxed a lot. "Go." Su Qian nodded. After Jiangchen left, Su Qian couldn't help but shake his head and say to himself, "This silly boy, I really don't know what kind of expression he will have when he finds out that Thousand Harmony sect is a branch of Thousand Revolution sect." Leaving the guest room, Jiangchen walked to the door with his hands behind his back. Most of the experts from the northern and eastern regions that had gathered here had already left. They already knew the strength of this new 10,000 mounts immortal sect. Almost everyone secretly decided that in the future, they must avoid these sects that were present today. If they were careless and offended one, it meant offending more than a dozen clans and sects, dozens of immortal kings, and even hundreds of immortal monarchs. "Now you have finally completed the first step." Behind him, a soft voice sounded. "Well, but this is only the first step. There is still a long way to go in the future." Jiangchen turned his head and held Bai Fengyu in his arms. "Don't feel too much pressure. We will always stand behind you and share your pressure and responsibility." Bai Fengyu leaned in Jiangchen's arms. "Thank you for being here." Jiangchen put his chin on her head and said softly as he smelled the faint fragrance of her hair. Feeling Jiangchen's warm and powerful embrace, Bai Fengyu hesitated for a moment before saying, "I know about Sister Huafu's matter. I can guess." Jiangchen took a deep breath. "When you returned from the southern region, your body contained the pure bloodline power of the Blazing Phoenix tribe. For an outsider to obtain it, they must have used some special methods. It's not like we haven't encountered them when we were in the lower realms." Bai Fengyu didn't have too many emotional fluctuations. She knew that Jiangchen had too many burdens on his shoulders. So, before she told Jiangchen about it, she had already convinced herself to accept it completely. "At that time, I didn't know either." Jiangchen's words were pale. "What about the mystic Moon Mountain Lord?" Bai Fengyu suddenly raised his head and stared at Jiangchen. Looking at Bai Fengyu's exquisite face and beautiful eyes, Jiangchen didn't want to explain. "I can accept them. I also know that I can't have you completely, but you have to promise me one thing. You have to treat me well in the future and don't forget me." Without waiting for Jiangchen to speak, Bai Fengyu continued. "Fengyu, why are you saying this?" Jiangchen asked with some heartache. "I'm just saying." Bai Fengyu once again shrank into Jiangchen's embrace and said, "However, although I can accept Sister Huafu and the mystic Moon Mountain Lord, if you dare to provoke other women, I will cut off your thing." "Hiss!" Jiangchen sucked in a breath of cold air. Bai Fengyu's calm tone made him feel real pressure. Even when facing Xianjun and the Black Sect Master, Jiangchen wasn't this afraid. "Seems like you still have other sisters. Let me guess. Is it the Valley Master of Love Despair Valley, Wang Min, or Sister Nailin who ascended to their sect, or perhaps Senior Sister Bai Xiaolan from the pavilion?" Hearing Jiangchen's hesitation, he didn't immediately agree. Bai Fengyu instantly escaped from his embrace. With her hands on her hips, she pointed at Jiangchen and questioned. Jiangchen was originally feeling a little guilty, but after hearing Bai Xiaolan's name, he instantly jumped and hurriedly waved his hand to deny. "Fengyu, I don't have any feelings for her." "Who? Sect Master Wang Min or Senior Sister Bai Xiaolan?" Bai Fengyu tilted her head. "I'm not interested in any of them. I promise you." Jiangchen had no choice but to agree. "I also heard Sister Fengyu." Huafu swayed her slender waist and walked over. Holding hands with Bai Fengyu, she stood opposite Jiangchen. "If you still dare to have any thoughts about other women, without waiting for Sister Fengyu to make a move, I'll directly bombard your private part with immortal energy." "When did you all join forces?" Jiangchen wanted to cry but had no tears. Huafu was immensely proud of herself. But halfway through the conversation, the two immediately let go of each other. "Is this the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect?" A large saber fell from the sky, and immediately a burly figure stepped on the back of the saber. After he landed, over 100 more people came in unison. This group of people directly surrounded the main gate. Where did this trash come from? Huafu instantly became cold and arrogant. When she sensed that the strongest person among them was only a third-layer immortal monarch, she mocked. Who are you calling trash? Little girl, your mouth is so poisonous, but your looks are not bad. Later, we'll capture you and teach you a good lesson. You can let our brothers have some fun. Hearing Huafu's scolding, this group of people couldn't bear it anymore. They came too late and didn't know that there were some experts in the sect just now. And now, they only sensed that Jiang Chen was a third-layer immortal monarch, and Huafu was a first-layer immortal monarch. In their eyes, this strength was simply not enough. Then let this old lady see if you have the ability to capture me and teach me a lesson. Huafu was also quite angry at their dirty words. The phantom of a phoenix gradually appeared behind her. Bai Fingyu was also prepared to fight with them. Let me handle such a small matter. Jiang Chen stretched out his hands and put them on Bai Fingyu and Huafu's shoulders. He said with a smile, I'm the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Now that someone is causing trouble in front of the sect, how can I let you handle it? I'm the sect master of the Soul Saber sect, Han Mia Ling. The third-layer immortal monarch raised his saber and said to Jiang Chen. Han Mia Ling. Jiang Chen smacked his tongue and said, The name is good, but your cultivation is too low. I'm afraid you don't deserve this name. A mere third-layer immortal monarch dares to talk nonsense in front of me? Han Mia Ling sneered. An immortal monarch cultivator dared to act tough in front of him. This was simply the funniest joke he had heard in the past few hundred years. Chapter 1850. If you don't believe me, you can come forward and try. Jiang Chen took a step forward and stood in front of Bai Fingyu and Huafu. Oh? I've never seen a fool before, but I've seen one today. Han Mieshing laughed even louder. At first, he thought that Jiang Chen was just pretending in front of the two beauties. He didn't expect that he really dared to take the initiative to come forward. Can you do it? The two asked worriedly. It was true that Jiang Chen was strong enough to fight across realms. But the opponent was not a celestial venerable, but a real immortal monarch expert. The gap between a celestial venerable and an immortal monarch was so big that it was almost impossible to make up for it. You don't even trust me? Jiang Chen shrugged. Then his body sank, and two phantoms slowly appeared behind him. One was a fiery phoenix, and the other was a sky-swallowing golden dragon. At the same time, in Jiang Chen's blood, the seven-colored blood essence and golden blood essence circulated crazily, and soon merged together. And Jiang Chen's strength also rose. Celestial Venerable? Han Mieshing's smile disappeared. With his strength and the status of the Soul Saber sect in the western part of the northern region, he didn't even have the chance to come into contact with the Phoenix Phantoms and the Golden Dragon Phantoms. He thought that it was some fancy low-level immortal technique. But he did feel the increase in Jiang Chen's cultivation. TSK, this sect master is unlucky. Huafu relaxed and said with a chuckle. Such a high increase in cultivation, will it cause any negative effects to the body? Compared to Huafu's relaxed state, Bai Fengyu was still somewhat worried. If it's an ordinary immortal technique, it will. However, Jiang Chen's body has fused with the purest power of our fire-bathing Phoenix clan's bloodline, and he has even taken a drop of essence blood. Moreover, there is another dragon's aura. Huafu looked at the other dragon image behind Jiang Chen and got lost in thought. She felt that this aura was similar to that of the ancient Dharma Void Dragon clan, but it was more vigorous and refined than the former. While she was pondering, Jiang Chen had already walked to the front of the sect. Sect Master Soul, aren't you going to take my woman away? Jiang Chen looked at him with a smile and said, Since you have this idea, you have to get past me first. If you can't even defeat me, wouldn't you be a piece of trash who talks big? Han Yaling was greatly provoked by Jiang Chen's words. Moreover, this time, he had brought all the disciples from the sect with him. He wanted to avenge Hun Xing and show all the disciples in the sect how he had killed Wan Cheng's son. He was even prepared to make a name for himself. Fancy things are useless in the face of true strength. Swallowing his saliva, Han Milan picked up his broadsword and slashed at Jiang Chen. It suddenly occurred to him that even though Jiang Chen's performance was so impressive and his cultivation had been greatly improved, there was still a big gap between him and Jiang Chen. As long as Jiang Chen exerted all of his skills, Jiang Chen would still be killed. Master, be careful. This kid has many attributes. As far as I know, he has at least 2 attributes. Hun Xing shouted from among the disciples. However, he only remembered the earth and would attribute celestial techniques that Jiang Chen had used. He completely forgot about the rainbow longsword in Jiang Chen's hand. Perhaps in his cognitive ability, he only thought of it as a colorful weapon and did not think of other aspects. He could not think of anything else. 2 attributes? Han Mieling was a little surprised, but he did not take it seriously. When he knew that Jiang Chen was a little strange, he used the killing move the moment he attacked. When he picked up the broadsword, his aura suddenly surged into it. Then, Han Mieling shook his body and turned into a broadsword. This is the secret technique of our Soul Saber sect, the Twin Saber technique. Many disciples cried out in surprise when they saw this. In the hundreds or even thousands of years that they had been cultivating in the sect, they had only seen the soul extinguisher technique 2 or 3 times. Moreover, they did not have the qualifications to cultivate it. In the entire sect, only the sect master knew how to use it. Is he really a celestial master? Looking at the 2 broadswords floating in front of him, Jiang Chen could not hold it in any longer. Although Han Mieling's celestial power was very weak and his aura was not stable, he was a real celestial master. Now that he had used such an celestial technique, Jiang Chen had a whole new level of respect for him. While Jiang Chen was hesitating, the 2 knives were thrown at him, one from the left and the other from the right. Although their methods weren't that good, Jiang Chen couldn't afford to be too careless. While dodging the attacks of the 2 broadswords, he also felt for the flaws. An immortal is an immortal. Even if he used some crooked methods to become a celestial master, he is still not a match for the sect leader. As long as we can kill Jiang Chen, our Soul Saber sect will be famous in the celestial world. At that time, we will be able to cultivate the real top celestial technique. After more than 100 rounds, seeing that Jiang Chen was dodging and the sect leader was constantly attacking, the group of Soul Saber sect disciples suddenly shouted. Listening to their shouts, if one did not know the real situation, one would think that Jiang Chen had been beaten to the ground. After more than 100 rounds, Jiang Chen had almost figured out Han Mieling's attacking method. Saber cultivation was to cultivate domineering aura. Not only could it give the opponent a strong pressure, but it was also very lethal. If one was careless and touched by it, one would definitely be heavily slashed. It was possible to be seriously injured. The continuous attacks had made Han Mieling confident. At the beginning, he would test Jiang Chen when he attacked. Now, he did not have any scruples and only needed to slash forward. Anyway, Jiang Chen only knew how to dodge. His immortal force was more abundant than his. As long as he forced him to exhaust his immortal force, he could end the battle with one slash. Sect leader Han, I'm going to fight back. After tilting his head to avoid the attack, Jiang Chen's mouth curved into a sneer. Then, he stretched his hand down. Before the 7-colored long sword was condensed, Jiang Chen suddenly felt that the Dragon Clan's power in his body seemed to throb. Are you waiting for your death? Have you given up? He saw that Jiang Chen was standing still. Han Mieling laughed arrogantly. He jumped forward and prepared to slash Jiang Chen's neck. As long as he could get his head, his sect would be famous. Oh no! Hua Fu did not know why Jiang Chen stopped, but after seeing the big saber in the air, her immortal force instantly gushed out. But what she did not see was that Jiang Chen's finger moved. Pa! In the depths of the sect, a shadow rushed straight at Jiang Chen. Even the courtyard wall in front of him was easily pierced through. Young sect leader of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, it's over! The big saber that Hun Yeling had transformed into appeared above Jiang Chen's head and slashed down. Chapter 1851. Hua Fu couldn't hold it in any longer. She didn't know what Jiang Chen was waiting for, but if she didn't make a move, the broadsword would really strike down. Even with the power of the bloodline, she couldn't block the attack of the immortal monarch when she was unprepared. Swoosh! The sound of wind breaking rang out. Beside Hua Fu, a long object suddenly swept out. While she was in a daze, her recovery was delayed for a moment. It was too late to make a move now. Hua Fu closed her eyes and blamed Jiang Chen for his arrogance. But at the same time, she was very glad that Jiang Chen was a member of the Flame Phoenix clan, and the part flowing in his body was the purest power of the bloodline of the entire clan. As long as his soul didn't die, he could be brought back to the southern region and put into the flame of origin. After 900 years, he could be reborn. Even though it would take a long time, this was the only result for Jiang Chen now. Jiang Chen! Bifengyu widened her eyes, but unfortunately, she was too weak. She could only watch as the broadsword slashed at Jiang Chen's neck. Smack! What came to his ears was not the sound of the broadsword cutting into the body. Instead, it was a very crisp sound. What's that? The broadsword transformed from the soul extinguisher spirit flew out. Under such a blow, it directly left the spell form and rolled twice on the ground. Even the other broadsword had fallen to the ground. Looking up, a rusty spear suddenly appeared above Jiang Chen's body. The spear floated quietly as if it was frozen in space. Bade, lend me your weapon. Jiang Chen got up and grabbed the sky-splitting spear. Just now, Jiang Chen mobilized the power of the sky-swallowing golden dragon bloodline in his body. He wanted to test its power, but he didn't expect to suddenly sense the location of the sky-splitting spear. Jiang Chen immediately summoned it. Although he wasn't very familiar with it for the first time, Jiang Chen wouldn't put himself in danger because of the experiment. At the last moment, if the spear didn't arrive in time, he would use the ever-changing heavenly lamp to dodge. But everything was just right. Bang! What kind of rusty gun is this? You actually dared to take it out? I underestimated you just now. If we fight another 100 rounds, I will definitely cut off your head with my own hands. Hun Yeling got up from the ground, spat out a mouthful of blood, and said disdainfully, Really? Jiang Chen stood up and held the spear with one hand. Pa la pa la! Under the dumbfounded gazes of the crowd, the rust on the spear gradually fell off. A moment later, the rusty and tattered spear turned pure gold. When he stabbed it into the ground, a sharp spear light slowly flowed from the tail to the top of the spear. Finally, it gathered at the tip of the spear, and then suddenly rushed into the sky. Golden again. However, this is a great weapon for showing off. Looking at the transformation of the sky-splitting spear, even with Jiang Chen's experience, he felt his heartbeat quicken. When the spear light entered the sky, Jiang Chen felt that his entire aura had changed. What he didn't know was that when the sky-splitting spear returned to its original state, the phoenix shadow behind him had quietly shrunk a little. The dragon shadow that was originally the same size as the phoenix was now hovering above Jiang Chen's head. Something's not right. All disciples, listen to my orders and leave this place immediately. Looking at the transformation of Jiang Chen and the spear, Han Nieling finally felt that something was wrong. He recalled that during the fight just now, Jiang Chen had been dodging and didn't even have the intention to fight back. He suddenly understood that it wasn't that Jiang Chen didn't dare to fight with him, nor was it that he was forced to defend. Instead, he was using him to practice. After roaring, Han Nieling abandoned all the disciples and fled in the opposite direction of the door. The disciples didn't react for a moment. When they wanted to move again, they were suppressed by the Dragon Clan's aura in Jiang Chen's body, and were unable to move. I'll go and get him back. Hua Fu spoke and prepared to immediately chase after him. This person had almost killed Jiang Chen just now. She wouldn't let Han Nieling escape so easily. She had to capture him and torture him before killing him. You don't have to do it. Jiangchen smiled faintly and reached out to stop Huafu. He controlled the sky-splitting spear directly from his hand and rushed in the direction of Han Yeling's escape. Pfft. This time, the sound was right. It was the sound of a weapon piercing into a body. Han Yeling's body trembled and he staggered forward a few steps before stopping. After feeling the pain, he subconsciously looked down. The tip of the sky-splitting spear had pierced through his back and out of his chest. At this time, there was still fierce immortal power circulating on the tip of the golden spear, and his blood couldn't stain the spear at all. It flowed down the tip of the spear and slowly dripped to the ground. You can't run away. Jiangchen raised his hand and gently hooked it. Just like that, the sky-splitting spear brought Han Yeling back. Looking at the man hanging from the gun, Jiangchen smiled coldly. He walked up to him and asked, "If I remember correctly, you said you were going to teach my woman a lesson, didn't you?" No, I didn't say that." Han Annihilation shook his head forcefully. He could already feel his life force slowly slipping away. Moreover, every time he opened his mouth to speak, a large pool of blood would flow out from his mouth and fall onto the stone bricks in front of the sect gate. "Don't worry, none of the people in your sect will escape. They will all accompany you out of the immortal world. However, you are the first person to leave blood in my 10,000 mounts immortal sect. I'll give you a quick death." Jiangchen raised his hand in front of him and immediately clenched it. The immortal power and dragon power condensed on the sky-splitting spear exploded in an instant. In an instant, Han Yeling's body and soul were destroyed. There was no scene of flesh and blood splattering in all directions. There was only the scene of his body being annihilated under such a fierce and domineering fluctuation. Jiangchen's vision of the Soul Saber sect's disciples was slightly blurred. Han Yeling disappeared. The sky-splitting spear was brand new and was not contaminated by any blood. After seeing this scene, although the group of disciples was suppressed by Jiangchen's dragon power to the point that they could not move, the shock, fear, and regret in their eyes had already betrayed their true thoughts. There were even many people whose lower bodies gradually emitted a foul smell. F***CK, did you see my spear? Just as Jiangchen was about to kill them directly, Long Dade hurriedly ran out from inside. As he ran, his eyes were still looking around. "Why are you looking for your spear?" Jiangchen smiled and withdrew some of his hostility. Why is there a bloody smell and immortal power fluctuation?" Long Dade felt that something was wrong. When he raised his head, he saw a long spear in front of Jiangchen. However, he only glanced at it. Chapter 1852. After all, the one in front of Jiangchen was shining with a golden light. And the spear was sharp. It was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. As for the sky-splitting spear that he used, it was tattered and full of rust. If he did not mention the origin of this spear, no one would be willing to pick it up if it was thrown on the ground. There might even be people who would deliberately step on it because they hated it. "Oh? Hasn't the sky-splitting spear always been with you? Why is it missing?" Seeing that he did not recognize it, Jiangchen was prepared to tease him. Anyway, Han Mie and Ling Ling had already been killed, and the remaining disciples were just waiting to die. "I don't know either. I was sleeping inside when I suddenly heard a loud sound. Then I couldn't see it anymore. I searched for a long time before I saw that the sect's spear wounds had holes similar to the spear body. I looked all the way until I found it outside. Take a look." Long Dade pointed to an eye beside Jiangchen and said, "Don't care about your broken spear. Try mine. It might be more convenient." Jiangchen held back his laughter and brought the sky-splitting spear in front of Long Dade. "It's not like you don't know the origin of that spear. Now that you have inherited the power of the sky-swallowing golden dragon's bloodline, you can be considered the only successor. That spear should be your weapon. I just took it because it was rare. I didn't expect that I would throw it away. I have to find it back." Long Dade shook his head vigorously. He would always feel guilty for losing such a treasure. "Ha ha! This spear is your sky-splitting spear. Seeing him so flustered, Jiangchen didn't have the heart to tease him anymore. Impossible! Long Dade took a look and shook his head again. The sky-splitting spear is tattered. Even if you find a blacksmith to polish it, it won't be returned so quickly. Don't comfort me. I'll go outside and look for it. As he spoke, Long Dade prepared to return to his original form. Seeing this, Jiangchen quickly pulled his hand and pressed it on the spear body. Then, under the gaze of Jiangchen, Bifengyu, and Huafu, when Long Dade's hand came into contact with the body of the spear, the sharp aura of the sky-splitting spear disappeared without a trace. The light also disappeared at the same time. And those rust stains also slowly appeared. Look at this spear. Is this your sky-splitting spear? Jiangchen did not expect such a situation to occur, and the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. It's the sky-breaking spear! Looking at this familiar appearance, Long Dade was overjoyed. However, before he could be happy for a second, he realized that something was wrong. He thought about what Jiangchen was holding and then looked at the one in front of him. Mother Kerr, does this gun despise me? Long Dade felt that he had been humiliated. After cursing, he threw the spear away. Ha ha! Bifengyu and Huafu could no longer hold it in. They clutched their stomachs and squatted on the ground, laughing out loud. Even their tears flowed out. Maybe this is his ability to protect himself. Looking at the broken spear lying in front of his feet and recalling the one in his hand, even Jiangchen felt that it was unbelievable. I'm the ancestral dragon. When I was in the lower realm, I was at the top of all the dragon species. I have the purest dragon bloodline. After ascending to the immortal realm, I've been bullied time and time again. Now, even a broken spear looks down on me. I'm not doing this anymore. I want to go back. Long Dade finally roared out loud. Sigh. Seeing that he was about to get angry, Jiangchen quickly persuaded him. If there's a chance in the future, I'll give you some of the power of the sky-devouring golden dragon bloodline in my body. That way, you can use it too. However, you don't have to think about the blood essence. It has already merged with my blood. Dade, if you go back, who am I going to ride in the future? Hearing Jiangchen's words, Long Dade picked up the sky-splitting spear on the ground and blinked. I heard it clearly. You said that you'll give me some of the power of the sky-devouring golden dragon bloodline in your body. As the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, you can't go back on your words. F***ck, you tricked me. Jiangchen saw something wrong in Long Dade's eyes. Then, he realized that this kid was probably lying when he said that he wanted to go back. He was just waiting for him to say those words. Haven't you tricked me enough? Long Dade rolled his eyes and returned to the sect happily with the sky-splitting spear in hand. He was waiting for the time when he obtained the power of the bloodline. Then, he would be able to use the golden weapon as cool as Jiangchen. If he showed off his skills in front of the female dragon, wouldn't she be so charmed that she would throw herself into his arms? It's over. After Dade ascended to the lower realm, his IQ has increased. Jiangchen couldn't help but hold his forehead as he said with a headache. It wouldn't be so easy to trick this kid in the future. Looking at the situation in front of the sect, the disciples of the Soul Saber sect didn't find it funny. Instead, they felt tormented. If you want to kill us, can't you kill us quickly? Raising and throwing the spear made them feel like they had jumped off a cliff and were pulled back. Before they could stand firm, they were pushed down again. Looking at these disciples of the Soul Saber sect, Jiangchen suddenly didn't feel like killing them after Long Dade's actions. Hundreds of people stared at Jiangchen as fear filled their hearts. I've decided. I'll let you guys live. Jiangchen placed his hands behind his back as a pure immortal energy condensed at his fingertips. However, the price for your lives is that I'll cripple your cultivation. As his voice fell, the immortal energy gradually disappeared from Jiangchen's body. It entered everyone's temples and exited from the other side. Streams of aura that weren't weak dissipated in front of Jiangchen. Even those who were about to reach the immortal supremacy realm had their cultivation wiped out by Jiangchen. After a while, Jiangchen withdrew the two streams of aura back into his body. The pressure also disappeared. In the immortal world, those who lost their cultivation were no different from trash. They would be trampled on or bullied by everyone. They might even die at any time. From now on, this group of people wouldn't be a threat to Jiangchen. "Thank you for sparing our lives!" Hundreds of people heaved a sigh of relief. Losing their cultivation was a big problem, but it was still better than losing their lives. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. Just as they were about to turn around and leave after thanking him, Jiangchen stretched out his hand and pointed at them. "You guys stay. The rest of you can leave." They couldn't care about anything else. Apart from these few people, the rest of the people scattered and used all their strength to escape from Jiangchen. Why did you leave us behind?" A few people stood up with trembling legs. They didn't even have the courage to look at Jiangchen. Chapter 1853. I don't have to say anything, do I?" Jiangchen ignored him. Pointing at Hunxing, who was standing at the end of the group, he asked, "I asked you to take revenge, and you really had the nerve to take revenge. I don't know whether I should call you stupid or brave. I won't dare to do it again." Hunxing shook his head vigorously. No. Since you want to kill me to become famous and bring benefits to yourself, you naturally have to pay a price if you can't kill me." Jiangchen waved his hand. Immortal Qi surged, causing Hunxing to disappear on the spot before he could even let out a scream. "What about you guys? Do you know?" After dealing with Hunxing, Jiangchen looked at the few people in front of him. How could these people still have the ability to speak? Even their expressions were completely out of control. "Forget it if you don't want to say." Jiangchen waved his hand again and these people, like Hunxing, disappeared. Walking to the sect gate, Jiangchen shrugged and then revealed a very relaxed smile. "I told you that with my strength, I can get rid of them. There's no need for you to do anything. Didn't you say you were going to let them go? Why did you kill a few more people?" Bai Fingyu frowned and asked. "Them." Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and said, "One of them was the one who brought them here. The other few were the bastards who insulted Huafu when they just arrived. Fingyu, if anyone dares to tease you in the future, they will end up the same." These two simple sentences made the two women shy. They held on to Jiangchen's arm and walked inside. When the senior brothers of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion saw this, they were all envious. They hated that they were not Jiangchen and could not hug the top-grade beauties. But among them, the one who had the biggest reaction was Jiang Yuan. When he saw Bai Fingyu on the left, he did not think much of it. But when he saw Huafu on the right, he spat out the meat in his mouth. What a coincidence! It landed on the head of a disciple of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. I'm sorry. She wiped her lips. While she was surprised that Fire Lotus and Jiangchen had developed such a relationship, she repeatedly apologized. She picked up the pieces of meat on her disciple's head and threw them to the ground. "I'm fine." The disciple was so scared that he didn't dare to move. It was one thing for the immortal monarch to spit all over his head, but now, the immortal monarch actually dared to take the initiative to clean up for him. This was something that he had never dared to imagine. For the next few days, Jiangchen stayed in the sect, only occasionally returning to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to take a look. If there was something going on in the pavilion, he would come here to report. After all, the distance between the two sects was less than 100 miles. They could arrive in less than a minute. This peaceful life only lasted for less than 10 days before a piece of news reached Jiangchen's ears. "What? Immortal King Xianjun invited me?" Jiangchen looked at the Jade Sword sect disciple in front of him and asked in surprise, "I have almost no interaction with your sect. Why would Immortal King Xianjun suddenly ask me to go?" "This young Lord Jiang will know when you go," the disciple stammered. "If you don't say it, then I won't go. I'll just go back and tell Immortal King Xianjun the truth." Jiangchen laughed coldly. In the sect, Xianjun and Huaxian had a huge falling out. Now, he actually took the initiative to invite him over. Jiang Chen didn't need to think to know that it wasn't anything good. Young Lord Jiang, senior brother Chang'e is in trouble. Seeing that Jiang Chen had no intention of leaving, the Jade Sword sect disciple could only tell the truth. What did you say? Repeat it again. Jiang Chen slammed his palm on the table. His entire aura was released uncontrollably. The indifferent expression on his face also disappeared without a trace. Under the pressure of Jiang Chen's aura, the Jade Sword sect disciple's face turned ugly. Senior brother Chang'e is in trouble in the sect. The disciple suppressed his discomfort and said, It seems that his life is in danger. Master really had no choice, so he thought of you. What a joke. As one of the 3 great immortal kings, he can't even protect his disciple's life. How can he still have the face to flaunt himself? Jiang Chen said angrily. He was about to rush out. Just then, he saw Jiang Yuan and Long Dade walk in side by side. Jiang Yuan, Dade and I have something to do. Jiang Chen walked out quickly and said to Jiang Yuan, What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? Long Dade asked curiously. He rarely saw Jiang Chen lose his composure like this. Chang'e is in immortal King Xianjun's sect. His life is in danger. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said in a low voice, What did you say? Long Dade transformed into his original form and rushed out. Jiang Chen urged his immortal power to follow, and jumped onto his back. 1 man and 1 dragon quickly disappeared into the clouds. Young Master Jiang, wait for me! When Jiang Chen disappeared without a trace, the disciple recovered from the pressure. He hurriedly got up and chased after him. Long Dade was very fast. When he arrived at the Jade Sword sect, Jiang Chen rushed into Xianjun's hall without caring about anything else. At this time, Xianjun was sitting inside with a worried face. When he saw Jiang Chen, he hurriedly got up. Jiang Chen, I'm afraid only you can help. Immortal King Xianjun, you are one of the 3 great immortal kings. You don't even have a way to protect your disciple. You even put your hopes on me. Do you think a 3rd stage immortal like me can be of much help? Jiang Chen asked loudly as soon as he walked in. I know you don't have a way, but Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy is one of your people. Last time, I almost fell out with Xian in your sect. If I went to find him myself, Lin Baichao might not help. I could only invite you over. I know you can get Lin Baichao to help, and Yan Chang'e is your brother. You can't just leave him alone. Xianjun couldn't care less. As long as Nian Chang'e could be saved, he would take the scolding. Dade, go to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy immediately and invite Elder Lin Baichao over. Remember, the sooner the better. Jiang Chen turned and ordered Long Dade. But I don't know where the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy is. Long Dade was anxious. Follow my immortal power. Xianjun flicked his finger and a ray of immortal power flashed out. In the blink of an eye, they had already arrived at the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Feeling Xianjun's fluctuations in the distance, Long Dade didn't hesitate. He ran out of the hall and jumped. He transformed into his original body again and sped up crazily. Although I'm one of the 3 great immortal kings, my main cultivation is sword cultivation. Just like Guhu's main cultivation is arrays and barriers. I don't know how to refine medicine or treat injuries. Chang'e's injury this time is really too serious. Xianjun sighed heavily. Immortal King Xianjun, if anything happens to Nian Chang'e, I won't let you off easily. Jiang Chen glared at him and walked out quickly. Xianjun could only follow behind obediently. If other immortal cultivators said this, they would definitely be laughed at. But Jiang Chen was different. He had Bai Xianling and Guhu behind him. Xianjun knew that if something really happened to Nian Chang'e, not only would he lose an extremely talented and outstanding disciple, he would also offend the other 2 great immortal kings. Under Xianjun's lead, Jiang Chen quickly walked to the back of the Jade Sword sect. After the disciples along the way felt the oppressive aura coming from Jiang Chen's body, they all consciously distanced themselves from him. This fluctuation was even more terrifying than when he fought with senior brother Xian Yi and senior brother Xian Er. Where is he? Jiang Chen asked with gloomy eyes. In the sword tomb, Xianjun said truthfully. Chapter 1854. Following behind Xianjun, Jiangchen quickly arrived at the sword tomb of the Jade Sword sect. This was the place where the swords of every expert of the Jade Sword sect were buried. Everyone in the sect, from the elders to the ordinary disciples, had to bury their swords here if they encountered any danger. Some of the immortal techniques of the Jade Sword sect were also related to this place. When Xian Yi and Xian Er had fought with Jiangchen, they had used the 10,000 swords returned to origin and heaven-splitting slash. The 100 swords had been gathered here. However, at this moment, the entire sword tomb was shrouded in sharp sword qi. Immortal King Xianjun, what's going on? Jiangchen took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart, and asked. Nian Chang'e has been cultivating here for several months, and it has been very stable. Who knew that there would suddenly be a fluctuation in the sword tomb yesterday? When I rushed here, it was already like this. Xianjun was somewhat helpless, but could only answer honestly. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and save him! Jiangchen was about to rush into the sword qi. Seeing this, Xianjun hurriedly stretched out his hand to stop Jiangchen. If this kid encountered any trouble inside, then he could be considered to have offended half of the experts of the immortal world. Immortal King Xianjun? Jiangchen frowned. You can't go in, Xianjun said sternly. The sword tomb is almost out of control now. All the accumulated violent energy is wreaking havoc, and the immortal energy of almost all the experts of the Jade Sword sect has gathered. If you just barge in like this, I'm afraid you won't be able to come out. Why don't you go in? Jiangchen was about to refute when he suddenly remembered that Xianjun was one of the 3 great immortal kings, a true expert of the immortal world. Xianjun was stunned, then helplessly shook his head. Even I can't go in easily. The only way to save Nian Chang'e is to destroy the sword tomb directly and draw all the energy into the space crack. But in this way, the sword tomb will no longer exist. I heard from Immortal King Xianjun that you want to sacrifice Nian Chang'e to protect your sword tomb. If he can come out on his own, then he will be treated by Elder Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. If he can't come out, then he will die inside, right? Jiangchen slowly understood Xianjun's thoughts. You can't say it like that. Having his thoughts exposed by Jiangchen, Xianjun was extremely embarrassed. It was difficult for him to choose between the sword mound and the disciple with the 72 lotuses. If he gave up the sword tomb, he might not be able to continue cultivating after rescuing Nian Chang'e. However, the destruction of the sword tomb meant that a third of the Jade Sword sect's immortal arts would be rendered useless. Once the news spread, losing Nian Chang'e would only cause the outside world to feel pity, or even secretly rejoice. However, losing the sword tomb would cause the Jade Sword School to become the laughingstock of the immortal world. After weighing the pros and cons, Xianjun made this choice. Immortal King Xianjun, if you don't want to save Nian Chang'e, I can go in for you. Jiangchen sneered and walked into the sword tomb. He said indifferently, but if I meet with any accident inside, then you should consider how to explain it to the white-robed Immortal King and the one ancient Immortal King. Jiangchen! Xianjun wasn't paying attention, and he allowed Jiangchen to enter directly. Seeing the slightly thin figure disappear into the sword qi, it was already too late for Xianjun to chase. This kid is too reckless! Xianjun cursed, but this made him secretly happy. Jiangchen barging in without caring about the danger was enough to prove Nian Chang'e's position in this person's heart. In the future, using Nian Chang'e, he might really be able to pull Jiangchen into their Jade Sword sect. Thinking about it, Xianjun was still worried about Jiangchen's safety. He didn't care about anything else and directly stepped into the sword qi. Jiangchen, who had just entered, didn't even see the road in front of him clearly, but his body was already cut several times by the biting cold sword qi. Holding his breath, Jiangchen spread out his immortal power from his body to temporarily protect his safety. At the same time, he tried his best to sense Nian Chang'e's location. In the deepest part of the sword tomb, Jiangchen sensed a familiar aura. It was just that the aura was very weak now, as if it could disappear from the world at any time. Swish! A huge sword swept past Jiangchen's head. Jiangchen hurriedly dodged to the side. Bang! The huge sword bent and smashed onto Jiangchen's body. After suffering such a heavy blow, Jiangchen hurriedly retreated dozens of steps. He could clearly feel the biting cold aura on the huge sword. The person who wore this sword was at least an immortal king-level expert before he died. As expected of old dog Xianjun's sect. A casual huge sword carries the aura of an immortal king. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Jiangchen spat and looked at the deepest part of the sword tomb with even more determination. After resting for a while, the immortal power in Jiangchen's body surged crazily. He rushed towards the place where Nianchanga was. However, even with the 10,000 transformations heavenly lamp, Jiangchen was still attacked from time to time and suffered a lot of injuries. However, with the advantage of speed, he still kept approaching that place. Cough, cough! After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Jiangchen finally arrived at the door of a lonely room. Here, there were hundreds of deep pits of different sizes around the room. The uncontrolled and raging swords in the sword tomb were inserted here before. Nianchanga! Walking to the door, Jiangchen pushed the door open forcefully. The sword chi in the room was even sharper. The moment the door was pushed open, Jiangchen's body was slashed with more than a dozen bloody wounds. The shadow of the phoenix appeared behind him and wrapped Jiangchen with its wings, blocking these attacks. Entering the room, he saw Nianchanga lying on the bed at a glance. Changa! Jiangchen hurried over and helped him up from the bed. At this time, Nianchanga had already fallen into a coma. His face and body were covered in bloody wounds, and his aura was extremely weak. It was not easy to be able to persist for so long in such a raging sword tomb. He reached out and placed his hand on Nianchanga's pulse. After sensing that there was no great danger in his body, he was relieved. Jiangchen! Xianjun arrived. Old dog Xianjun, aren't you not allowed to come in? Jiangchen's eyes were gloomy. If not for the difference in strength, if not for the fact that Nianchanga was the main person, Jiangchen would have already punched him. This is our Jade Sword Sex Sword Tomb. Of course I can come in. Xianjun's face darkened, but he still thickened his skin and explained. It's just that I wasn't sure of Nianchanga's situation here, so I didn't dare to rashly enter and… Xianjun lowered his head and looked at the bloody wounds on his body. Take him out. Jiangchen directly carried Nianchanga on his back. If he had the time to talk to Xianjun, he might as well leave this place as soon as possible. Chapter 1855. Boom! There was a loud explosion. Just as the two of them were about to bring Nianchanga out, hundreds of swords gathered at the entrance of the room. All the swords were pointed at Jiangchen. What's going on? Jiangchen asked in a low voice. Maybe. Xianjun was a little surprised, but after a while he said, Nianchanga became like this when he was comprehending our Jade Sword Sex mastery of 10,000 swords. I told him not to force it if he couldn't. The mastery of 10,000 swords is an immortal technique that I comprehended when I ascended to the Immortal King realm. It's not that easy to master. I didn't expect him to not listen to me. What's the mastery of 10,000 swords? Jiangchen stared at the swords outside, suddenly interested. It was an immortal technique that Immortal King Xianjun comprehended when he broke through to the Immortal King realm. After tens of thousands of years of refinement, it was probably one of the strongest sword techniques in the entire immortal realm. Let's bring him out first. Xianjun sighed deeply. Immortal King Xianjun, lead the way. I'll follow you from behind. Jiangchen took 2 steps back with Nianchanga on his back. He wasn't stupid enough to go against the fallen experts of the Jade Sword sect. It was already not easy to reach here with the help of the myriad transformations heavenly lamp and the power of the phoenix. Follow closely! Xianjun's heart sank. His entire body exploded with majestic immortal energy, which instantly swept out of the sword tomb. Looks like this immortal King Xianjun is just a facade. Nian Chang'e only failed to comprehend and he already messed up the sword tomb. Jiang Chen couldn't help but sigh. Xianjun didn't hear Jiang Chen's words. He mobilized the immortal energy in his body to fight against the chaotic sword tomb. Even if the sword tomb was destroyed, he had to let Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e out alive. Otherwise, not only would he lose a talented disciple, he would also form a blood feud with Bai Xianling and Gu Hua. However, at this moment, the remaining immortal energy of the fallen experts of the Jade Sword sect within the Sword Catacomb caused those swords to attack Xianjun and Jiangchen in a frenzy under the brutal control of the immortal energy. Immortal King Xianjun, is your cultivation not enough to control the situation here? Jiangchen frowned. I can, but if I were to take action, our Jade Sword School's sword mound would cease to exist. Xianjun sighed. The two people's speed was very fast. In a blink of an eye, they already arrived at the sword tomb's exit. Leaping away, Jiangchen gasped for breath. For the sake of your Jade Sword sect's broken sword tomb, Nian Chang'e almost died inside. Jiangchen glared at him and said, Actually, I'm also a little curious. Chang'e merely failed to comprehend it. How did he become like this? Xianjun rubbed his chin and frowned as he pondered. Maybe the entire sword catacomb is out of your control, Jiangchen said casually. Something like this has never happened before. Xianjun shook his head. This was the first time the sword catacomb had gone out of control since the establishment of the Jade Sword sect. Even if he was one of the true experts in this world, he still couldn't figure out what was going on. They're here. Feeling the two familiar auras, Jiangchen looked up at the sky. In the clouds, a dragon's shadow quickly appeared and swept towards the Jade Sword sect at an extremely fast speed. In the disciples' room, Xianjun stood at the door, while Jiangchen and Lin Baichao stood in front of the bed, looking at Nian Chang'e who was lying on the bed. How's his situation? Jiangchen asked in a low voice. His situation is not good. His body is filled with sharp sword energy. These sword energy have even severed his meridians. Lin Baichao only reached out to sense the situation in Nian Chang'e's body, then shook his head helplessly. Can we save him? Jiangchen furrowed his brows. Even Long Dade quickly ran in from outside. That's not a problem. Lin Baichao could see how important Nian Chang'e was to Jiangchen, so he took out an elixir from his storage ring and stuffed it into Jiangchen's mouth. He said, This elixir is the same as the one I gave young lord. It can save your life. But if you want him to completely recover, then you have to restore his meridians. But with the sword energy, I can't heal him. Great Elder Lin means that as long as we can expel the sword energy from his body, there's a way? Jiangchen caught the meaning behind his words. That's right. Lin Baichao didn't hesitate and directly agreed. Immortal King Xianjun, it's time for you to act. Jiangchen turned and shouted towards the door. Xianjun hurried over, but after hearing Lin Baichao's words, he fell silent. Immortal King Xianjun, don't you want to save Nian Chang'e? Jiangchen immediately pulled a long face and asked in a deep voice. I can understand that you didn't go in to save him because you wanted to protect the sword tomb. But if you still don't act now, isn't it a little unreasonable? It's not that I don't want to save him, but I can't. Xianjun shook his head and said, The sharp sword energy in his body is the side effect of forcefully comprehending the 10,000 swords apex. If I inject my immortal energy into his body, not only will I not be able to save him, but the moment I do, Nian Chang'e will be completely hopeless. So you're saying that we can only find someone who hasn't cultivated the 10,000 swords apex and help him expel the sword energy from his body? Jiangchen sensed that Xianjun's words made sense. Yes, that's right. But in our Jade Sword sect, although some disciples haven't cultivated it, their cultivation methods or immortal techniques are more or less related to the 10,000 swords apex. Xianjun shook his head and said, I'll do it myself. Lin Baichao took a deep breath and released his immortal king aura. Xianjun was a little surprised. It had been rumored that First Elder Lin Baichao of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy was a 9th-level immortal venerate expert, but now he clearly sensed that his true cultivation was around the 2nd-level immortal king realm. "Let me do it, First Elder Lin." Jiangchen reached out and placed a hand on his arm. "Young master, your cultivation is only at the 3rd-level immortal realm. It's not enough to expel the violent immortal energy from his body. And if you encounter any danger, how am I going to explain it to the others in the sect?" Lin Baichao shook his head firmly. "As long as immortal King Xianjun and First Elder Lin can lend a hand when I expel it, there won't be a problem." Jiangchen sat on the edge of the bed and instilled immortal energy into Nian Chunga's body without further ado. Jiangchen's expression froze in an instant. A wave of violent sword energy invaded Jiangchen's body from Nian Chunga's body, targeting his meridians and dantian. Once these two areas were destroyed, Jiangchen could be considered to have bid farewell to cultivation. Jiangchen's mind was focused on the sword energy, and he mobilized all the immortal energy in his body to deal with it. Chapter 1856. He sensed that something was wrong with Jiangchen. Lin Baichao was ready to make a move. "Wait, don't make a move first. This sword chi doesn't seem to be able to harm him." Xianjun hurriedly stopped him. With his cultivation, he could clearly sense the situation in Jiangchen's body. "Even your proud disciple has fallen to such a state. Do you think Jiangchen can survive?" Lin Baichao sneered. Others might be afraid, but he wasn't. Besides, Jiangchen was their young master. Nothing could happen to him. "Why don't you even believe me?" Xianjun laughed bitterly. As he spoke, Jiangchen's aura became fierce, like a sharp sword. It seemed to penetrate the Jade Sword sect and reach the sky. Lin Baichao didn't want to wait any longer. He hurriedly urged his immortal power to force out the fierce sword chi in Jiangchen's body. Even if it caused some damage, it was better than dying here. If that happened, he really wouldn't know how to explain it to the others. He reached out to touch Jiangchen's body. Just as his palm was about to touch his body, a violent wave instantly spread out. Lin Baichao couldn't react in time and was directly bounced away. "Oh no!" Xianjun's expression also became ugly. He went forward to help Lin Baichao up. At the same time, he constructed a boundary in the room, sealing all the fierce sword chi in the room to prevent it from wreaking havoc in the sect and injuring the disciples. "What's the situation in his body?" Lin Baichao clutched his chest and looked at Jiangchen. "It's somewhat out of my expectations." Looking at the fierce sword chi that constantly overflowed from Jiangchen's body, Xianjun took a deep breath and went forward, ready to force the sword chi out of Jiangchen and Nian Chunga's bodies. His current thoughts were the same as Lin Baichao's. Even if it caused damage, at least they were alive. Xianjun put one hand on Jiangchen's shoulder and the other on Nian Chunga's shoulder. Majestic immortal power spread out from his body and slowly entered the bodies of the two. His immortal power smoothly entered Nian Chunga's body. Just as he was about to forcibly expel the sword chi, he discovered that the 72 lotuses were slowly blooming in Nian Chunga's body. It was because of this lotus that he was able to keep his life. Otherwise, he would have lost his life in the sword tomb. On the other hand, Jiangchen's body contained the power of the phoenix and the power of the golden dragon. "Buzz!" Just as Xianjun was rejoicing over the fact that the two of them were still alive, another wave of extremely powerful energy spread out from Jiangchen's body. It was the power of the phoenix and the golden dragon. Feeling the rejection, Xianjun took another deep breath. "This kid's cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the divine immortal realm, but he does have a lot of life-saving items in his body." Xianjun could not help but sigh. Under the rejection, Xianjun had no choice but to withdraw his hand. On the other side, although his immortal chi had been infused into Nian Chunga's body, the sword chi had become even more rampant. However, with the existence of the 72 lotuses, the situation that he had expected did not happen. "Ha!" Xianjun shouted in a low voice. As he slapped Nian Chunga's back, a fierce immortal chi burst out from his body. Xianjun drew a line with his finger and tore open a spatial rift, guiding the sword chi inside. Sigh, I'm afraid he'll be crippled in the future. Looking at Nian Chang'e, Xianjun sighed helplessly, his heart filled with endless regret. He should not have given the cultivation method of the mastery of myriad swords to Nian Chang'e. Now, he had lost such a talented disciple for no reason and had almost destroyed the sword tomb. Immortal King Xianjun, how is our young master? Lin Baichao stepped forward and asked. Sigh. Xianjun sighed. I took the risk of seriously injuring Nian Chang'e to force the sword chi out of his body. However, Jiangqin has the power of the phoenix and the power of the golden dragon. When my immortal chi entered his body, it was completely blocked outside. What did you say? Lin Baichao trembled all over. How he is now depends on his own fortune. Xianjun shook his head helplessly. When this kid went to save Nian Chang'e, I felt that something was wrong. I just didn't expect that I couldn't help him. You're one of the 3 great immortal kings. Lin Baicao's heart sank completely. You're also the Grand Elder of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. You can't do anything either. Xianjun said somewhat helplessly. I only know how to treat illnesses and save people. However, his current situation has already exceeded my ability. Lin Baicao's tone became sharper. Immortal King Xianjun, something happened to the young master in your Jade Sword sect. He only ended up in this state because of saving your disciple. If anything happens to him, you should consider how to explain it to the people of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. You don't need to say that. Xianjun interrupted him. Looking at Jiangqin, Lin Baichao did not continue speaking. His hands were tightly clenched together, his expression anxious. Can you save his life? Xianjun asked after a while. Of course I can. However, in the future I'm afraid. Lin Baichao let out a heavy sigh. It's already good enough that he can keep his life. Moreover, he's the disciple of the White Robe Immortal King and an ancient Immortal King. There will definitely be a way to recover his cultivation. Xianjun relaxed. What? Lin Baichao was shocked. Cough, 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 I didn't say anything. He glanced at Jiangqin, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed with his eyes tightly shut. Then, he helped the already weak Nian Chang'e up. The moment the door closed, Long Dade, who had been silent all this while, threw 2 punches at Xianjun's back. Now it's up to his luck. With the 2 bloodline powers in his body, others can't interfere at all. If he can pull through, then it's fine. However, if he can't, then he'll probably be an ordinary person in the future. Lin Baichao took out a pill and held it tightly in his hand. It's just sword chi. Is it that strong? Long Dade asked anxiously. According to what I know, the sword tomb of the Jade Sword sect contains the remnant immortal energy of all the experts above the immortal sovereign level. The energy contained within is probably not stronger than a 5th level immortal king. Although it's just sword chi, Jiangqin is now fighting with a 5th level immortal king. Don't you think it's strong? Lin Baichao shook his head and smiled. This? Long Dade fell silent. Let's wait and see. Lin Baichao held the pill and didn't continue speaking. At this moment, Jiangqin was also fighting with the sword chi in his body. The biting cold sword chi was constantly wreaking havoc in his body, and the 2 bloodline powers were also fusing together, constantly tearing apart the sword chi. Waves of invisible waves spread out from the room. Many disciples of the Jade Sword sect gathered here and looked towards the room. What's going on? You still don't know, right? Senior brother Chang'e encountered a problem in the sword tomb. Now the entire sword tomb is in a mess. Even the sect leader can't do anything. That can't be. The sect leader is one of the 3 great immortal kings. Chapter 1857. Many of the disciples were chattering among themselves. Although Xianjun had never revealed anything to them, there was no such thing as a secret. The situation in the sword tomb had long been spread throughout the Jade Sword sect. However, due to Xianjun's authority, no one dared to say anything. Now, Nian Chang'e was taken away from the room by the sect master, and Jiang Qun was left inside, emitting sword chi fluctuations from the Jade Sword sect from time to time. This group of people couldn't help but speak up. All of you, go do what you're supposed to do. If anyone dares to talk about this, they'll be expelled from the Jade Sword sect immediately. Xian Yi received Xian Jun's order and immediately rushed over. With Xian Yi's order, the disciples scattered. Xian Yi turned around and glanced at Nian Chunga's residence. Sensing the fluctuations that were constantly spreading out from there, Xian Yi's expression became very complicated. He didn't know what had happened in the sect. After settling Nian Chunga down, Xian Jun returned again. Jiang Qun was still sitting cross-legged in the same place, motionless. However, one could clearly feel that his body was going through a storm. The sharp sword chi was flowing all over Jiang Chen's body. The power of the phoenix was protecting Jiang Chen's meridians and internal organs, and the power of the golden dragon was resisting the sharp sword chi. Time passed by slowly. Xian Jun tried 3 times in a row to force the sword chi out of Jiang Chen's body. However, when his immortal power was about to enter Jiang Chen's body, it would be repelled by the 2 bloodline powers. Xian Jun had no choice but to give up. He stood in the room uneasily. His only hope now was that Lin Baichao could save Jiang Chen's life. This way, he, Bai Xianling, and Gu Hu would have something to say. A few days passed. Jiang Chen's situation in the sect had almost been forgotten by all the disciples. However, in the sword tomb, the hundreds of swords used by the fallen experts of the Jade Sword sect and the tens of thousands of long swords that Xian Jun had collected from all over the immortal realm gradually calmed down. All of a sudden, a sharp energy of the sword swept out of the room where Jiang Qun was. Many disciples were caught off guard. Xian Yi and Xian Er hurried over immediately. They were going to kill Jiang Qun on the grounds that he had hurt a disciple of the school. But before Mystic One could open the door, both of them turned to look in the direction of the sword tomb. There, the humming of tens of thousands of swords could be heard. What's the situation in the sword catacomb? Xian Jun pushed open the door. He was already used to Jiang Qun releasing a strand of sword chi from time to time, but the new situation from the sword tomb really shocked him. I don't know. Mystic One stepped forward and looked into the room. Come with me to take a look. Xian Jun frowned. He could feel that the sword catacomb was slowly slipping out of his control. Ever since the establishment of the Jade Sword sect, he had never seen such a situation. Even the mess that Nian Chunga made inside was within his expectation. At the entrance of the sword mound, Xian Yi stood behind Xian Jun and looked at the situation in front of him. He could not help but ask, Master, what happened to the sword tomb? Nian Chunga made a mistake in comprehending the 10,000 swords, causing the sword chi in the sword tomb to become chaotic. Xian Jun sighed deeply. His face darkened, and he raised both hands toward the sword tomb, preparing to use his strength to suppress the situation inside. He did not act earlier because he still had a glimmer of hope. But now, it seemed that if he did not deal with it quickly, once the sword chi really slipped out of his control, not to mention the ridicule of the immortal realm, the disciples of the Jade Sword sect would be the first to suffer heavy injuries. Then why did I sense our sect's sword energy in Jiang Chen's body? Gnashing his teeth, Xian Yi asked the question out loud. That kid forcefully treated Nian Chunga, but he didn't expect to get himself involved. Now we can only save his life. As for what will happen to him, that will depend on his own fortune. Xian Jun stared at the sword tomb. 2 monstrous waves of immortal chi erupted from his palms, controlling the entire sword tomb. The sword chi was gradually suppressed by him. Just as Xian Jun was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the dense sword chi suddenly broke free from his control and rushed out of the sword tomb. Nian Chunga has comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword? Seeing this situation, Xian Jun's face was not worried at all. Instead, he had an extremely happy expression. In the many years since the establishment of the Jade Sword sect, only when one comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword could he mobilize all the sword chi in the sword tomb. Congratulations, Master! Mystic One hurriedly cupped his hands and said, The mastery of the myriad sword was the ultimate immortal art of the Jade Sword sect. After comprehending the mastery of the myriad sword, one could quickly comprehend other top immortal arts. He had spent thousands of years to cultivate the heaven-splitting slash, but Nyan Changa only needed a few days to completely master it. Mystic One was jealous and happy at the same time. After all, even he and Mystic Two could not comprehend the mastery of the myriad sword. No, it's not Nyan Changa. Xian Jun was shocked, but he gradually understood. Nyan Changa was in a coma, and he was hanging on by his last breath. How could he comprehend the mastery of the myriad sword? Thinking of this, Xian Jun looked back. Master? Mystic One asked in surprise. As expected of the disciple chosen by Xianling and Gu Hua, Xian Jun took a deep breath. What do you mean? Mystic One was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes were filled with shock. Master, you mean Jiangchen? Yes, Jiangchen has comprehended the mastery of the myriad sword. Xian Jun withdrew his immortal power and looked at the sword chi that was converging toward a certain place in the sect. He shook his head and said, How is that possible? He is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect, and he has never studied the mastery of the myriad sword in the sword tomb. How could he have comprehended it? Mystic One could not accept it. Xian Jun did not reply, but immediately chased after the sword chi. At this time, in the open space of the sect, many disciples had gathered. They were all stunned when they saw the tens of thousands of different kinds of swords surrounding Yan Chunga's room. In the room, Jiang Chen's immortal power, which was originally out of control, was suddenly suppressed. Just as Lin Baichao and Long Dade were about to go forward to check on the situation, a sword chi that was hundreds of times fiercer than before suddenly spread out. Crack! Nyan Chunga's room was instantly destroyed. Lin Baichao protected Long Dade. With his immortal king cultivation, it was easy for him to block Jiang Chen's fluctuation. Everyone's eyes were focused on Jiang Chen. Even Xian Jun stood in midair and looked down with a complicated expression. Master, Jiang Chen is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect. Even if he is very talented, if he comprehends the profound of our immortal skills, it may cause trouble in the future. Mystic One had a murderous intention. Chapter 1858. What do you mean? Xian Jun tilted his head and looked at Xian Yi. Master, what I mean is that we should get rid of him now. If we let him live, he will definitely be a threat to the Jade Sword sect in the future. Moreover, he is not a disciple of the Jade Sword sect. If the outside world knows that he has comprehended the profound of our immortal skills, wouldn't it damage the reputation of the Jade Sword sect? Xian Yi took a deep breath and said, If not for Xian Jun, he would have attacked without hesitation. Jiang Chen is the disciple of the two immortal kings, by Xianling and Gu Hua. He is also the young master of the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect. He has the support of the Divine Secret Pavilion and the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance. Do you think that the Jade Sword sect alone will not cause more trouble after killing him? Xian Jun sneered. But Xian Yi was not unaware of this situation. Stop thinking about it. Don't have any plans to attack Jiang Chen in the future. Otherwise, you will get yourself into trouble sooner or later. Xian Jun interrupted him. As the sword chi raged, Jiang Chen suddenly opened his eyes. Tens of thousands of swords gathered behind Jiang Chen as if they were being guided. Bloodline power? Seeing the phoenix and golden dragon shadows behind Jiang Chen, all the disciples of the Jade Sword sect were stunned. Tens of thousands of swords attached themselves to the phoenix's body like rays of light. Each sword turned into a feather. Look, he has the bloodline power of the Blazing Phoenix clan and the Ancient Void Dragon clan. If you dare to attack him, these two spiritual beast clans will definitely not rest until you die. Could it be that you expect me to protect you? Xian Jun narrowed his eyes and asked in a low voice. How can he have the bloodline power of these two spiritual beast tribes? Xian Yi's heart was in turmoil. He remembered that when he first heard of Jiang Chen's name, the latter had just ascended to the immortal realm, and his strength was around the third level of the true immortal realm. However, he had only been in the immortal realm for a short while and his cultivation had risen so quickly. No, this isn't the power of the bloodline of the ancient Fanshi dragon. Xianjun looked at the golden dragon shadow behind Jiangchen and shook his head. It wasn't that he hadn't interacted with the people of the ancient dragon clan before. Their bloodline power was far from Jiangchen's current purity. Not an ancient magic void dragon? Xian asked. Could it be the sky-swallowing golden dragon? Xianjun was shocked. When this thought appeared in his mind, he could no longer dismiss it. The aura that spread out from the shadow was indeed purer than that of the magic void ancient dragon. However, didn't the entire heaven-devouring golden dragon clan perish in order to protect that woman? Why did Jiangchen have the power of their bloodlines? Xianjun didn't know and couldn't figure it out. However, he believed that Bai Xianling or Gu Hu should know something. Otherwise, the two of them wouldn't fight over a disciple like Jiangchen. The two illusory figures of the spirit beasts only existed for a moment before they slowly dissipated. Those swords, on the other hand, fell beside Jiangchen. What's going on? After calming down, Jiangchen looked around in confusion. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, he was sitting in Nianchunga's room. Why did it seem like he had just experienced a great battle when he opened his eyes? Ahem, you almost destroyed the entire Jade Sword sect. Lin Baichao trembled. Only now did he understand why Emperor Qianji chose Jiangchen to be the young master of the sect. He was probably the only person in the entire immortal realm who could comprehend the top immortal skills of other sects with just a flash of sword chi. Oh? Jiangchen tilted his head with a harmless expression. Let's disperse. Xianjun came down from the sky. After dismissing all the disciples, he walked slowly to Jiangchen. He sized him up and then looked at Jiangchen meaningfully. Immortal King Xianjun, where's Nianchunga? Jiangchen frowned slightly. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, Nianchunga was not completely out of danger. His situation is very complicated, but his life is not in danger for now. Xianjun sighed and said, I'll go take a look. Jiangchen walked out from the mess. Following behind Xianjun, Jiangchen led Lin Baichao and Long Day to a room on the side. On the way, many disciples of the Jade Sword sect looked over. They still could not understand how Jiangchen could successfully comprehend the 10,000 swords apex level. Why are they all looking at me? Jiangchen asked Lin Baichao. You comprehended the ultimate profound of the Jade Sword sect's immortal skill. Don't tell me they're looking at me instead of you? Lin Baichao smiled awkwardly. What is the ultimate lore? Jiangchen didn't understand. He had already lost consciousness when the two bloodline powers in his body clashed with the sword chi. He only just recovered, so he was not clear about what had happened. The Jade Sword sect's 10,000 swords apex level! Lin Baichao lowered his voice and said, Now that you've comprehended this profound, you can quickly grasp all of Xianjun's immortal skills and immortal skills. Jiangchen was speechless. He was just trying to help Nianchunga, but he actually got old dog Xianjun's treasure. In the room, Nianchunga was still unconscious. The 72 lotuses had already appeared. He sat in the center of the lotuses. The sword chi in his body had already been forced out by Xianjun. If it weren't for the 72 lotuses slowly healing his injuries, he would probably have died long ago. Great Elder Lin, please lend a hand. Xianjun turned his head and cupped his hands towards Lin Baichao. Now that there is no sword chi in his body, I know you must have a way to save his life, or even completely heal his injuries. This? Lin Baichao looked at Jiangchen. Nianchunga is not only immortal King Xianjun's disciple, but also my close friend in the lower realm. Jiangchen said in a deep voice. All right, since young master has already said so, then I will definitely help. Hearing Jiangchen's words, Lin Baichao took out 2 pills from his storage ring and directly put them into Nianchunga's mouth. That's it. Xianjun raised his eyebrows, somewhat surprised. One to save his life, the other to save his cultivation. As for how much he can recover, that will depend on his own fortune. However, immortal King Xianjun, although this child has 72 lotuses and is considered a rare talent, with his current strength, I'm afraid he is not qualified to cultivate the Jade Sword sect's 10,000 swords. Lin Baichao nodded and said, Immortal King Xianjun, I haven't settled this matter with you yet, right? You know that Nianchunga's cultivation is not high. Why did you let him take the risk? Jiangchen snorted and asked. This is a mistake that happened by chance, Xianjun said indifferently as he looked at Nianchunga, who was sitting between the lotuses with his hands behind his back. He did not dare to tell Jiangchen the truth. Chapter 1859. He didn't dare to tell Jiangchen that Nianchunga had become like this because he saw that Jiangchen's talent and strength were too strong. He wanted Nianchunga to surpass him, so he let Nianchunga take the risk to comprehend the mastery of 10,000 swords. However, he didn't expect Nianchunga's talent to be so much weaker than Jiangchen's. Immortal King Xianjun, it's fine if Nianchunga is fine this time. If something happens to him, I'll take him back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. In the future, I'll personally come to ask for an explanation. Jiangchen stared at Xianjun for a while, and almost said the word old dog. Don't worry, there won't be anything like that. Xianjun patted his chest and guaranteed. Jiangchen, you've already comprehended the mastery of 10,000 swords. Strictly speaking, you should be considered a disciple of our Jade Sword sect. I'm not interested in your sect. Jiangchen shook his head. Then return the mastery of 10,000 swords. Xianjun thought for a while and said directly. Now, it was almost impossible to find a disciple stronger than Jiangchen. Moreover, Jiangchen had comprehended his immortal technique. It was reasonable for him to be considered his master. You want me to spit it out after eating it? No way, Jiangchen said with a smile. I won't acknowledge you as my master. Moreover, I'm the great elder of the Flame Phoenix clan. Immortal King Xianjun extracted my ancestors' inner core. We haven't settled this matter yet. Cough cough, I've already explained that matter to the Fire Xian clan leader. Xianjun was embarrassed when he saw Jiangchen bring up the old score. It's not impossible for me to become your disciple. Jiangchen rubbed his chin and pondered for a while before saying, Unless you want your Jade Sword sect to become a subsidiary sect of my 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, I'll consider it. Jiangchen, don't go too far. These words completely enraged Xianjun. As one of the three great Immortal King sects, if they were to rely on a newly established sect, wouldn't the entire immortal world see them as a joke? If that's impossible, then it's even more impossible for me to become your disciple. Jiangchen only used this sentence to block Xianjun's thoughts. You might have comprehended the mastery of myriad swords, but if you don't accept me as your master, I won't teach you the immortal arts of the sect, Xianjun said furiously with his hands behind his back. I wasn't interested to begin with. The immortal arts of the white-robed Immortal King and the ancient Immortal King are enough for me to comprehend. Jiangchen could not be bothered with Xianjun. After saying this, he walked out with Lin Baichao and Long Dade. What a stubborn little bastard! Looking at Jiangchen's back, Xianjun clenched his fists tightly. He really couldn't understand why Jiangchen could become Gu Hua's disciple after becoming Bai Xuanling's disciple. But when it came to him, he was so repulsed. What he couldn't understand was why all the wrong things he had done were related to Jiangchen. After knowing that Nianchunga's life was not in danger, Jiangchen brought Lin Baichao back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect on Long Dade's back. Just as he returned, he saw Jiang Yuan sitting at the sect's entrance. Brother Jiang Yuan, why are you here? Jiangchen jumped down from Long Dade's back and walked quickly. Where have you been? Jiang Yuan hurriedly stood up and asked. While you were away, something big happened in the sect. What happened? Jiangchen instantly frowned and asked. It's not our 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Seeing Jiangchen so anxious, Jiang Yuan realized that he had said something wrong. Tianji Pavilion? Jiangchen was even more confused. Tianji Pavilion was Bai Xuanling's sect. Now that Bai Xiaoyun had returned and was in the pavilion, there shouldn't be any problems. It's not Tianji Pavilion either. Jiang Yuan shook his head. Brother Long Dade, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Hearing Jiang Yuan's words, Long Dade felt dizzy. When our 10,000 mounts immortal sect was established some time ago, something happened to the sect that received the invitation but didn't come. Jiang Yuan took 2 deep breaths and said calmly, Love Valley. Jiang Chen's aura instantly turned cold. Let's go in and talk. Lin Baichao saw the change in Jiang Chen. In the main hall, Jiang Yuan explained the situation. Which force did it? Jiang Chen's eyes were cold. In Love Valley, there was Wang Min, whom he owed in his previous life, and Naylan Mayer. Although they hadn't joined the current 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, Jiang Chen regarded this sect as important as Tianji Pavilion. Now that something had happened in Love Valley, Jiang Chen couldn't sit still. I don't know. This news was sent by Tianluo Palace Lord Luo Fu the day before yesterday. He waited here for 2 days and didn't see you, so he left early this morning. He didn't expect you to come back so soon after he left. Jiang Yuan shook his head. Brother Jiang Yuan, send Great Elder Lin back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said, Dade, come with me to the snow region. I'm an immortal king. I can go back by myself. I don't need anyone to send me. Lin Baichao waved his hand. Great Elder Lin, let Brother Jiang Yuan send you back. Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. This time, Nian Chang'e had invited him over. He couldn't let him go back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy alone. Seeing that Jiang Chen was so persistent, Lin Baichao didn't insist. Don't we need to mobilize some experts from the sect? Long Dade thought of the many experts behind the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect and asked. It's too late. Jiang Chen patted him on the shoulder. It would take at least 10 minutes to reach Tianji Pavilion. It seemed short, but Jiang Chen didn't want to waste even a minute. He just wanted to hurry to Love Valley and see what was going on. All right, I'll send you there. Long Dade walked out of the hall and turned into a dragon. He carried Jiang Chen and disappeared into the horizon. Looking at the disappearing dragon, Jiang Yuan realized that he might have done something wrong. Great Elder Lin, what do you think is the relationship between Love Valley and Young Master? Jiang Yuan clenched his fist nervously. Should I have told him this earlier? He went to Jade Sword Sect. Did you know? Lin Baichao asked. I didn't know. He left in a hurry and asked me to take care of the sect. Jiang Yuan shook his head. Then it has nothing to do with you. But the young master really has a hard life. He had just walked around the Jade Sword Sect, and now he has met with new troubles. I really don't know when he will be able to stop and rest. Lin Baichao sighed and said, Let's go, Great Elder Lin. I'll send you back to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Jiang Yuan walked down the stone steps and said, Chapter 1860. Snow Region. With Long Dade's help, Jiang Chen quickly arrived. Damn, it's really cold here. Long Dade, who had transformed into his human form, couldn't help but shiver. If you feel cold, you can go back first. Looking at the familiar town, Jiang Chen said and hurried over. How can a member of the dragon tribe be afraid of the cold? Seeing that Jiang Chen was in low spirits, Long Dade didn't want to continue joking and quickly followed him. After passing through the town, Jiang Chen saw the sacred mountain. The sect was still standing on top of the mountain, and he could see that the sacred mountain was still split in half by him. Young master? Before they passed through the town, someone walked out of the pub and stopped Jiang Chen. Palace Master Luo, it's been a long time. Jiang Chen turned around and sneered at Luo Fu. It seems that Palace Master Luo has forgotten what you promised me. Young master, what are you talking about? Luo Fu's face changed. Palace Master Luo is still in the mood to drink and eat here after such a big thing happened in Love Valley. Isn't that right? Jiang Chen walked into the pub and saw many disciples of Tian Luo Hall yelling and shouting. He wanted to kill them. Go do what you are supposed to do! Luo Fu's face froze and he hurriedly shouted at the disciples. After the disciples rushed out of the tavern, Luo Fu explained with an embarrassed smile. Young master, you really misunderstood me. We just took a break and were about to eat something when we bumped into you. Oh? Then, Palace Master Luo, what have you done? Jiang Chen sat in front of a table and looked at the wine jug and plates on the table. He couldn't help but sneer. Young master, we have been following your orders to protect Qingju Valley. Since the day you left Shuiyu, we have never let our guard down. But this time, things have gone beyond our abilities. The second and third elders of the palace have all died here. Luo Fu couldn't help but sigh. The 2 elders of your sect are also gone? Jiang Chen frowned slightly. That's right. Both of them are 3rd-level immortal venerables and live comfortably in the town with their disciples. When the incident happened, there wasn't even any news about it. It was only because I didn't receive their timely report that I sent someone here to inquire about the situation. Luo Fu nodded and explained the situation. Who made a move against Love Valley? Jiang Chen asked. I don't know. Ever since I returned from the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, I have been investigating this matter. However, I didn't manage to find anything. Luo Fu's expression was one of helplessness. Let's go to Love Despair Valley and take a look. Jiang Chen knew that he would not be able to get any valuable information from Luo Fu. Under the watchful eyes of the Heavenly Azura Palace disciples, Jiang Chen and the other 2 walked towards the same mountain. On the way, Jiang Chen could clearly feel the residual waves of immortal power. One could imagine that there must have been a fierce battle here. However, what Jiang Chen did not understand was who would make a move against the Love Valley. Black Sect? But after kidnapping Hikari, the sect master of Black Sect had even given up on the Corpse Cliff. How could he make a move against Love Valley? Other than that, the only ones who would dare to make a move were those forces that he had offended in the immortal world. It was just that it had been too long, so Jiang Chen found it hard to remember. Moreover, if it was really them, they should have gone directly to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. Why would they make a move against Love Valley? While thinking, Jiang Chen walked into Love Valley. What he saw was a scene of devastation. So serious. Long Dade sighed. It seems that the Force should want Love Valley to disappear completely. Seeing that the main hall had collapsed, Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said slowly, Sect Master Wang Min of Love Valley, Great Elder Heartless Qingzi, and the other elders have all disappeared from the sect. Many disciples have been killed or injured. Those who were injured have all been placed in the town below by me, Luo Fu said. Is there someone called Nayland Mayer? Jiang Chen turned back. No. Luo Fu shook his head. Young master, forgive me for speaking the truth, but the disciple you're looking for has most likely died in battle and is buried here. Find her. Even if you have to turn the entire Love Valley upside down, you must find her. Jiang Chen's mouth twitched. If he had known that this would happen, he would have brought her back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect when he met her. Luo Fu did not dare to say anything and could only run into the sect. Go and call all the disciples of the Tian Luo Palace in the town. Let them follow me. Jiang Chen stopped Luo Fu and ordered. Yes, young master. Luo Fu stopped and turned to run out of the sect. Taking a deep breath, Jiang Chen closed his eyes. However, he did not sense Nayland Mayer's aura. Immediately, he controlled the 10 directions to deduce the whereabouts of Nayland Mayer. However, during the deduction, it was as if he was in a fog. He could not get any valuable clues at all. Phew! He sighed. Do we look for her? Long Dade asked. Of course. Let's split up. Even if we have to dig the entire sacred mountain, we must find her. Jiang Chen nodded and said, What if we can't find her? Looking at the messy Love Valley, Long Dade knew that the chances of finding her were very slim. If we can't find her, it means that she has been taken away by the other party, Jiang Chen said lightly. Okay. Long Dade nodded and immediately rushed in. 2 hours. 4 hours. Even the disciples of the Tian Luo Palace rushed in. This group of people searched the entire Love Valley. They even found the prison hidden in the mountain. Standing in the cave, Jiang Chun looked at the people in front of him whose cultivations were sealed, and they were tied to a stone pillar. Big brother, did we do something wrong? When these people saw the gloomy Jiang Chun, they were so scared that they could not speak. Squinting at them, Jiang Chun asked in a low voice, "Who are you? What's the force behind you? Tell me everything you know. Tell me honestly. Brother, we have been trapped here for a long time. It has been at least tens of thousands of years. We don't even know which sect or family we belong to." These people smiled bitterly and shook their heads. There was not a single ray of light in the pitch-black cave. Even if they hadn't seen anyone enter for thousands of years, their willpower had long been worn away. Not to mention which sect they belonged to, they might not even be able to say their current names. Bring them back. It might be the doing of the power behind them. Jiang Chun waved his hand. He would not let go of any possibility. Yes, young master! A few disciples of the Tian Luo Palace went forward and brought them out. Chapter 1861. In the town, Jiang Chun looked at the few people sitting in front of him. Detain them temporarily. Before we find sect leader Wang Min, don't let them go. After a while, Jiang Chun said to Luo Fu, who was behind him. Yes, young master. Luo Fu nodded and waved his hand. A few Tian Luo Palace disciples went forward and locked them all in a room at the side and guarded them tightly. Where are the disciples of Love Valley that you rescued? Long Dade asked when he saw that Jiang Chun was a little depressed. They are all at the back of the town. I have arranged for hundreds of disciples to take care of them. Luo Fu quickly replied. Jiang Chun stood up, walked out of the room, and walked towards the back. At the back of the town, he saw the disciples of Love Valley. However, at this moment, these disciples were more or less injured. Even though they had seen Jiang Chun here, they didn't show any emotion. They weren't as excited as they had been when they had seen Jiang Chun face Luo Fu alone in the school. Give them the elixirs you brought out from the barrier. Looking at their situation, Jiang Chun sighed and said to Long Dade. Ah? Long Dade was a little reluctant. Hurry up, Jiang Chun urged. Long Dade took out the elixirs from his storage ring and distributed them to the disciples. What happened in the sect? I hope you can tell me. I can guarantee that I will definitely rescue your sect leader and several elders safely. After seeing them take the elixirs, Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. Brother Jiang Chun, maybe the sect leader and the others have been killed. The female disciple standing at the front lowered her head and said in a low voice. Who did it? Jiang Chun's heart trembled. If Nayland Mayer and Wang Min were really killed, no matter who the other party was, Jiang Chun would definitely kill them. I don't know. The female disciple shook her head. You should know what happened that night, right? Jiang Chun frowned slightly. Someone suddenly rushed to the sect. The sect master and elders acted as if they were facing a great enemy and told us to take care of ourselves. Then, they rushed out with the stronger senior sisters in the sect. We hid well in the sect, but not long after, a large group of black-clothed people rushed in. We were no match for them. The female disciple thought for a moment before revealing a pained expression. Black-clothed men? Jiang Chun suddenly thought of the sect master of the Black Gate. But on second thought, it was unlikely that this person was the culprit. That's right. The people who fought with sect master were at least immortal kings. We even sent several immortal monarchs. It's just that we didn't expect sect master to be no match for them. Another disciple spoke up. Do you know who Love Despair Valley has offended before? Jiang Chun carefully analyzed their words. Our sect has never been in contact with any other sect or family. Moreover, that group of people didn't seem to be seeking revenge. They seemed to be looking for something. The female disciple continued. Looking for something? Jiang Chun raised his head. After they injured us, they didn't continue to attack us. Instead, they searched the sect. However, we don't know what they were looking for. The disciple continued. All right, you guys should rest well. If you need anything, just ask Luo Fu. Jiang Chun knew that no matter how he asked, he wouldn't be able to get any valuable clues. Instead of talking to them here, he might as well investigate on his own. Thank you, Big Brother Jiangchen. Dozens of female disciples spoke at the same time. Leaving the town, Jiangchen returned to Love Despair Valley. Since this group of people was looking for something, they would definitely leave behind footprints. If he could find them, he might be able to uncover why this group of people suddenly attacked Love Despair Valley. Also, he might be able to find the whereabouts of Nayland Mayer and Wang Min walking through the gate with Long Dade. Jiangchen looked at the mess in front of him and found it difficult to distinguish the location of the main hall. To be able to destroy a sect in an instant, I'm afraid the other party's strength is definitely not weak. We don't need to provoke such an opponent for no reason. Long Dade followed behind Jiangchen and said in a low voice, Do you think our 10,000 mounts immortal sect is weak? Jiangchen suddenly laughed. Of course not. Long Dade said. No matter who it is, I will definitely not watch the people of Love Despair Valley be in danger. The sect master and elders of this sect, if they are alive, I want to see them. If they are dead, I want to see their bodies. Jiangchen clenched his fists and said indifferently. After searching the main hall, Jiangchen didn't find any clues. However, he wasn't discouraged. Something that could be stolen by the other party in such a way should be the supreme treasure of Love Despair Valley. It would be hidden in some corner of the sect or in a secret room. Perhaps it was because they couldn't find those things that they kidnapped Nayland Mayer and Wang Min together and tried to force the whereabouts of those things out of them. The sky gradually darkened. Jiangchen had been investigating the sect for nearly a day. However, there was still no progress. Sitting at the entrance of the main hall, Jiangchen wondered if it was because of him that Love Despair Valley was in such a predicament. Now, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect had reappeared in the immortal world and the news had already spread to every corner of the 4 major regions. Those opponents of the immortal sect who knew about his relationship with Wang Min might vent their anger on Love Despair Valley. Although this possibility was very small. However, Jiangchen was still a little worried in his heart. Just as he was about to continue investigating the main hall to see if he could find a secret passage or a secret room, a strange aura appeared in his perception. Someone is approaching. Long Dade whispered. It's in my perception. A smile appeared at the corner of Jiangchen's mouth. It seems that we don't have to deliberately look for it. The clues have automatically come to us. Should we catch him? Long Dade stretched out his hand and the sky-splitting spear appeared in his hand. Let's see what he wants to do first. Jiangchen reached out and placed his hand on Long Dade's shoulder, then concealed his aura. Where's my sky-splitting spear? Long Dade asked in surprise as he watched the spear in his hand disappear in an instant. It's in my storage ring, Jiangchen whispered. Long Dade sighed helplessly. The sky-splitting spear seemed to be in his hands all day long, but in fact, it was still Jiangchen's possession. He was just a puppet. The two of them completely concealed their figures and hid in the shadows of the main hall. After that person came in, he didn't find anything wrong. After looking around, he directly walked into the main hall and began to search around. He's really here to look for something, Jiangchen sneered. The strange aura on this person was enough to prove that he wasn't a subordinate of the Black Sect Master, which meant that he was a force that Love Despair Valley had offended. Chapter 1862. This kid's cultivation isn't bad. He's around the Immortal Monarch level. Long Dade squatted behind Jiangchen. He couldn't wait to fight with the sky-splitting spear in his hand. Ever since he ascended to the immortal world, he hadn't fought to his heart's content other than fighting with Ao Ting. His hands were itching for a fight now. Let's wait and see. Jiangchen stared at him. More than 10 minutes later, that person had almost walked through the entire hall and finally entered a dark room. Jiangchen hurried to follow him. Just as the door was about to close, Jiangchen placed his hand on the door. That person was surprised. When he entered the Passionless Valley, he didn't sense anyone inside. Moreover, everyone in the sect had left long ago. After you answer my question, you can continue to search for the things you want. Jiang Chun looked at him with a smile and said faintly, You're not from the Passionless Valley? This has nothing to do with you. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, you'll be buried in these ruins forever. Sensing that the person standing at the door was only at the 3rd level of the immortal realm, that person relaxed. He thought that Jiang Chun might have heard about the disaster in the Passionless Valley, and came here to look for treasures. A cultivator at the 3rd level of the immortal realm was indeed not enough to look at in front of him. Oh? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows and walked into the dark room. Lad, I advise you to tell us the truth. Don't end up kneeling down and begging for mercy. Long Dade followed Jiang Chun into the room. He looked at the black-robed youngster. I'm Jini Shaw, the first disciple of the Gu Poison sect. Looking at Jiang Chun, that person directly revealed his sect. What kind of lousy sect are you talking about? Long Dade spat and took 2 steps forward, reaching out his hand to Jiang Chun. Here. Jiang Chun passed the sky-splitting spear to him. Kid, you've used up all your chances. We'll investigate the Bi-Poison sect on our own, but I'm afraid you're going to die here today. With the sky-piercing spear in his hand, Long Dade was still quite confident even if he was facing an immortal monarch. Moreover, he had never taken the person in front of him seriously. A mere 1st-level immortal venerable. Chia Yishuo laughed disdainfully. With a wave of his hands, the black robe on his body fluttered. Immediately, a dense swarm of black crows flew out, causing the originally narrow dark space to become even more crowded. Even the sharp cries of the crows made people almost lose their sense of hearing. This familiar feeling. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes. He sensed something familiar from the ripple of Chia Yishuo's immortal force. This familiarity was a little similar to that of the Black Sect master. However, what Jiang Chun encountered was even more similar to Wu Xian's body. Black Plague, Jiang Chun said calmly. Who are you? These words directly caused Chia Yishuo's expression to change drastically. It doesn't matter who I am. Now, I want to know who you are. With a sneer, Jiang Chun directly sucked the sky-piercing spear from Long Dade's hand. According to the information he had obtained, the poison that the green python heavenly serpent used on the Huaxian clan sect master was extremely similar to the Black Plague, and the Black Sky Emperor was also related to it. Now that he had encountered a cultivator who was inextricably linked to it, Jiang Chun naturally would not let him go easily. Perhaps from this person, he could solve the mystery of the green python heavenly serpent, the Black Sky Emperor, and even the Black sect master. I'll get rid of you sooner or later. Chia Yishuo gritted his teeth and pushed his hands forward. The group of crows screeched and rushed toward Jiang Chun and Long Dade, while he immediately left the dark space and prepared to escape from Love Despair Valley. I can't let him escape. The flame of origin in Jiang Chun's body burned fiercely, and the blazing aura directly roasted these crows into dried pieces. Masses of pitch-black corpses fell to the ground. They even emitted a fragrance. Damn, it smells so good. Long Dade took a deep breath. Then you stay here, I'll chase after him. Jiang Chun sighed and hurriedly chased after him. Behind him, Long Dade also followed closely. Leaving the main hall, Jiang Chun chased after him, and the mark in his hand changed. A formation descended from the sky and directly trapped Chia Yishuo inside. The formation was firmly nailed to the open space, and Chia Yishuo also fell to the ground. He stood up and looked around, and found that he was already trapped in the formation. Chia Yishuo did not take it too seriously. In his opinion, the formation cast by the 3rd layer of the immortal realm could not withstand a single blow. He had to immediately return to the sect and tell the sect master this news. There were no more than a handful of people in the entire immortal world who could perceive the Black Plague from his immortal power. Even in the sect, very few people knew about this. Tell me, you should have a lot of information that I want to know. Jiang Chun walked to the front of the formation. Kid, I think you're deliberately courting death, aren't you? Chia Yishuo's black robe fluttered without any wind. His pair of very gloomy eyes were now like a crow's as they locked onto Jiang Chun, who was outside the formation. After saying this, huge wings suddenly grew out of Jie Shua's back, almost no different from a crow's. He punched the formation, and with a strange fluctuation, the soul-slaying spirit suppression formation was forcibly broken. He also swept toward where Jiangchen was standing. As expected of an immortal lord. Jiangchen frowned. His formation could trap immortals and immortal supremacies, but it was still very difficult for an immortal lord to succeed. Moreover, Jie Shua was completely different from ordinary cultivators. Be careful! Seeing that Jiangchen was about to be in danger, Long Dade shouted in a low voice and immediately flew out of the main hall. A golden light flashed behind Jiangchen's back. The sky splitter spear returned to its original form, and with a sharp spear momentum, it instantly appeared in Jiangchen's hand. Facing such a person, he did not dare to use all his trump cards. The power of the Dragon Clan's bloodline? Jie Shua was a little surprised when he sensed the change in Jiangchen's immortal power. However, in the blink of an eye, he had already arrived above Jiangchen. Dozens of feathers on his wings fell off and condensed into a pitch-black long sword in his hand. There were complicated patterns on it, and it carried a very fatal poison. If he was stabbed by the long sword, with his cultivation, there was almost no one below the level of an immortal lord could resist. Even if he survived, he would definitely be a cripple in the future. Kid, you know too much. I think it's necessary to bring you back to the sect and ask you properly. Let's see if you know anything else. Holding the pitch-black longsword in his hand, Jie Shua stabbed at Jiangchen fiercely. Clang! The pitch-black longsword and the sky-splitter spear collided. Jiangchen took 2 steps back. Without using all his trump cards, he was no match for an immortal lord at all. Chapter 1863. This person is too strong. I think it's better to think about it at length. Long Dade arrived beside Jiangchen. He reached out to block Jiangchen and said in a low voice, "See Poison Sect." Jiangchen narrowed his eyes and memorized the name of this sect. Although it was the first time he had heard of it, he knew that this sect was related to the sect master of the Black Sect and even Black Sky Emperor. It could be said that this sect had everything he wanted to know. Do you think a mere immortal venerable can save you? Jie Shua held the black longsword. I can't expose my strength, but it would be a pity if I let him go just like that. Jiangchen frowned slightly. For a moment, he was in a dilemma. Then I'll help you. Long Dade did not hesitate. Okay. Jiangchen nodded. Do you really think that the two of you together will be a match for me? Jie Shua sneered. An immortal and an immortal venerable were not enough. If he unleashed all his strength, he could even fight against the half-step immortal king. Jiangchen and Long Dade did not continue to speak. The two of them charged at him at the same time, one on the left and one on the right. The sky-breaking spear was already in Long Dade's hands. Although he could not unleash its full power, it was still a top-grade weapon. Jiangchen had already condensed a 3-colored longsword in his hand. The sword was made of thunder and was burning with raging flames. As the flames danced, there was a faint flicker of light. Another member of the Dragon Clan. Oh? Immortal power of 3 attributes? Jie Shua was a little surprised. He did not expect that these two people's cultivation levels were not high, but they still had some strength. Stay here. Flower-washing longsword! Jiangchen's voice floated out from between his lips and teeth. The 3-colored sword instantly split. A sword of thunder. A sword of burning flames. A sword of dazzling light. The 3 longswords were respectively above and to the left and right of Jiangchen. As Jiangchen continued to approach, the 3 longswords were controlled by his mind. As the tips of the swords moved, they were like blooming flowers, and Jiangchen was in the middle of the flowers. This swordsmanship. This was the sword technique that Jiangchen had created when he comprehended the Jade Sword Sect's 10,000 swords. Compared to the Sword of Glory, the Sword of Tranquility was more flexible and flexible. What fancy swordsmanship! After forcing Long Dade to retreat, Feng Yishua looked at Jiangchen. The 3 swords of different attributes were constantly magnifying in front of him. He gripped the Black Crow's sword and was a little surprised. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Chun was already in front of him. King's Slaying Formation! Jiang Chun formed a seal with both hands and another huge array formation descended, enveloping Yu Yishuo within it. When the attack from the array formation descended, the 3 swords also pierced inside. With your cultivation, how is it possible for you to use such a formation? Even though Feng Yishuo's cultivation was much higher than Jiang Chen's, he found it difficult to withstand the 2 trump cards that Jiang Chen had used consecutively. Not bad. Long Dade held his chest and walked in front of Jiang Chen. He could not help but praise Feng Yishuo when he saw that he was exhausted in the array formation. Lend me the sword in your hand. Jiang Chen extended his hand to him. Isn't this yours to begin with? Long Dade glanced at the broken spear in his hand and handed it to Jiang Chen. The moment they touched, the rust fell off and golden light shone brightly. After tearing open a corner of the array formation, Jiang Chen rushed in with the spear. Jiang Chen kept exchanging blows with Feng Yishuo in the array formation and swordsmanship. Dragon bloodline, 3 attributes, and a sword and spear cultivator at the same time. Feng Yishuo rushed to the edge of the array formation. At this moment, he looked at Jiang Chen with a look of disdain and astonishment. In his opinion, a cultivator with such talent should have long been famous in the immortal world. However, he did not recognize the person in front of him at all. He had never even heard of anyone in the immortal world who had such ability. What's your relationship with the black sect in the outer region? Jiang Chen stood in the array formation. It seems that you do know something. Feng Yishuo calmed his breathing. Of course. Holding the spear, Jiang Chen thrust it over fiercely like a golden dragon. The 3 swords followed closely behind. The lightning sword above Jiang Chen even attracted a bolt of lightning. Spear, sword, and lightning. The 3 attacks were aimed at Feng Yishuo in the corner, and quickly closed in. Black Crow's secret burial! Feng Yishuo was afraid. He knew that if he held back, he might really die in this kid's hands. As his almost hoarse voice sounded, hundreds of purplish black crows burst out and enveloped the entire array formation in the blink of an eye. Boom! There was a loud bang. All the crows exploded in an instant. The shock wave directly broke the array formation. This level of explosion swept out and caused Long Dade to disappear on the spot. It's over. Long Dade climbed down from the ruins of the main hall. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at the place where the shock wave came from. He realized that Jiang Chen might have been severely injured because he sensed that Jiang Chen's fierce aura had become very weak. At the place where the immortal art exploded, the 3 swords had already dissipated. Jiang Chen held the spear in his hand and stood in the same place. Suddenly, a stream of black light flashed in front of him and disappeared into the Love Valley. Are you okay? Long Dade immediately rushed over. I'm fine. I'm just injured. Jiang Chen's body was surrounded by a faint light. The Saint healing technique was slowly healing his injuries. Those kids have escaped, right? Long Dade took the sky-piercing spear and helped Jiang Chen to sit down slowly. Yes, he's also injured. However, with my current condition, I'm afraid I can't stop him. Jiang Chen nodded helplessly. With your current cultivation, it's already not easy to beat him up like this. Long Dade advised. Help me back to the town to rest. Jiang Chen turned around and glanced at the main hall. He went on. But it seems like there's something they want in the Love-Despair Valley. Ask Luo Fu to send someone to guard this place. If the Poison Vanishing School's people dare to come here again, inform me. Long Dade supported Jiang Chen and walked down the sacred mountain. Just as they reached the foot of the mountain, they saw Luo Fu rushing over with a few disciples from the Tian Luo Palace. Seeing that Jiang Chen was being supported, Luo Fu quickly went forward and supported Jiang Chen from the other side. He asked, What's wrong with young master? Send someone to guard Love Valley. There might be people coming here again. Jiang Chen took a deep breath. His voice was a little weak. You, go back and bring some disciples. The rest of you, go guard the sect. Luo Fu did not hesitate and immediately gave the order. Yes, sect leader. The disciples nodded in unison and then scattered in all directions. Young lord, I detected intense immortal power fluctuations on the sacred mountain while I was in the town, so I hurried over with some people to take a look. I didn't expect that it was you who was injured. Luo Fu supported Jiang Chen and walked toward the town carefully. Chapter 1864. In the town. Jiang Chen was resting on a chair. In the last exchange with Feng Yishuo, Jiang Chen had met force with force. He had severely injured his opponent, but he had also sustained significant injuries. If he had not performed the saint healing technique at the last moment, and used the beginning of all beginnings to block most of the Black Crow's explosive attacks, he would have been unconscious. The Poison Palm sect had left a deep impression in Jiang Chen's mind. Young master, who is the other party? Luo Fu swallowed his saliva when he saw Jiang Chen's injuries and his fluctuating aura. Do you know about the Poison Palm sect? Jiang Chen turned his head and asked. I've never heard of this sect. Luo Fu thought about it carefully before replying. Dade, go back to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal School and inform Senior Brother Bai Shaoyan of this news. Ask him to investigate the Poison Palm School. I hope to get some information about this sect. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and spoke to Long Dade, who was next to him. All right, I'll return now. Long Dade did not hesitate and left immediately after receiving Jiang Chen's order. Young master, what can the Tian Luo Palace do? Luo Fu cleared his throat. Stay here. Jiang Chen got up and walked into the room. Don't disturb me for the time being, unless you see someone else approaching. Understood, young master. Luo Fu nodded as he looked at Jiang Chen's back. He knew that Jiang Chen was serious this time, and the other party's strength was definitely not weak. Although it was very likely that the Tian Luo Palace would be involved, he knew that this was the time to show his loyalty to Jiang Chen. If he performed well, the Tian Luo Palace would once again become the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect's chief dependent sect. By then, the benefits they would receive would be immeasurable. Sitting in the room, Jiang Chen crossed his legs and placed his hands on his knees. After realizing that Luo Fu had left, his face instantly turned pale. In the fight with Feng Yishuo, he had been severely injured. It was already difficult for him to escape alive from the full power of an immortal monarch's immortal technique without using all of his trump cards. Phew! He exhaled a mouthful of foul air. The originally weak radiance of the saint healing technique gradually grew brighter, enveloping his entire body. This was a stronger recovery technique that Jiang Chen had comprehended after combining the holy healing technique and the beginning of all beginnings with the help of Emperor Qian Ji's fusion technique. It was named the Holy Protection Barrier. Not only could this immortal art slowly heal his own injuries, but it could also heal the injuries of all his companions within a radius of 100 meters. Furthermore, with the endless would attribute spiritual energy of heaven and earth provided by the beginning of all beginnings, even the depleted immortal force was replenished to a certain extent. After nearly an entire day, Jiang Chen's injuries were almost completely healed. Pushing the door open, he saw Luo Fu sitting in the hall. Young master. Seeing Jiang Chen come out, Luo Fu hurried forward. Is there anything unusual? Jiang Chen nodded slightly at him and asked. No one came near the holy mountain during the day when young master was in seclusion. Luo Fu rubbed his hands together, unable to conceal the smile on his face. But young master, I did ask around and obtain some information about this Poison Palm sect. Oh? Jiang Chen glanced sideways. This Poison Palm sect is a sect in the western region. They haven't appeared outside the western region for nearly 10,000 years. This time they suddenly appeared in our northern region. I'm afraid it's not as simple as seeking revenge from Love Valley. Luo Fu closed the door of the room and said, What do you mean? What else do you know? This time, Jiang Chen's interest was piqued. He didn't know much about the western region, and had never heard of the entire Poison Palm sect. Young master, As far as I know, 6 sects in our northern region have been destroyed in their hands, and Love Valley is just one of them. Luo Fu handed Jiang Chen a cup of freshly brewed tea. 6 sects? Jiang Chen immediately frowned. He hadn't expected this news. That's right. The situation of the other 5 sects is similar to that of the Love Valley. The sect leader and the elders have all disappeared. The disciples of the sect are either dead or injured. Even the entire sect has been looted and turned into ruins. The Love Valley is considered to be the best of the 5. Luo Fu nodded and continued to tell him what he knew. It seems that a trip to the western region is necessary. Jiang Chen took a deep breath. Young master, don't. The western region is no longer the western region of the past. Upon hearing this, Luo Fu hurriedly stopped him. Why? Jiang Chen asked again. He remembered that when he was still the young master of the 10,000 Creations immortal sect and hadn't left the immortal world, there were also several sects in the western region that were subordinate to his father, although he didn't know much about these sections. But in his memory, except for the southern region, where spiritual beasts lived, there seemed to be no difference between the other 3 regions. I don't know the specifics. Luo Fu smiled bitterly and said, Our Tian Luo Palace is a mid-level sect in the northern region, and this is only the situation I know. Thank you for telling me, Palace Master Luo. Jiang Chen cupped his hands. Young master, you're too kind. Seeing this, Luo Fu hurriedly cupped his fists and knelt on one knee on the ground. He was extremely frightened. Now that our heavenly Luo Palace has returned to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, we will definitely sacrifice our lives for young master. Get up. Jiang Chen raised his head slightly. Yes, young master. Luo Fu patted the dust on his knees and stood up. Young master, our 10,000 Creations immortal sect now has a lot of experts. Let's wait for them to investigate before making a decision. This poison sect is not weak, and since they dared to attack our sect in the northern region, they must be fully prepared. I know. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. Then, young master, I'll take my leave first. Call me if you need anything. Luo Fu cupped his hands and bowed to Jiang Chen before walking out of the room. Jiang Chen looked at Luo Fu's departing figure in a daze. This poison sect was somewhat beyond his expectations. Although they were not familiar with the western region, one thing was certain, and that was that this sect was definitely inextricably linked to the Black Sect leader and Black Sky Emperor. Even if there wasn't, just the Black Plague alone was worth investigating. It seems that I have to make a trip. Jiang Chen twirled his fingers and decided to leave. If he stayed any longer, he was afraid that Nayland Mayer and Wang Min would really die. If they were alive, he had to see them. If they were dead, he had to see their bodies. This was the only thought in Jiang Chen's mind. Half a day later, Bai Xiaoyun, who had received the news, followed Long Dade to the snow region. After seeing Jiang Chen, Bai Xiaoyun did not say anything and directly pressed her palm on Jiang Chen's chest. Sensing that his internal injuries were not very serious, she was relieved. Chapter 1865. What's going on? How did someone get rid of the Love Valley? Bai Xiaoyun asked as she walked into the hall. Eldest senior brother, why are you here? Jiang Chen looked at Long Dade helplessly and asked. Didn't I only ask you to bring the news back? You don't have to blame him. I insisted on coming. I've already sent the junior brothers in the pavilion to spread the news to every sect and family so that they can investigate the Poison Palm sect together. I'm here to see the situation personally and check on your condition. Bai Xiaoyun looked at Jiang Chen. When she heard from Long Dade that Jiang Chen was injured in the fight with Feng Yishuo, she was so anxious that she hurriedly made some arrangements and immediately rushed to the snow region. She was afraid that Jiang Chen would be in danger if she was late. I'm fine. Jiang Chen shrugged and said. What's going on? Bai Xiaoyun asked with a frown. It's a long story. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and told her about the situation in the southern region and the news that he had recently learned. The more she listened, the more Bai Xiaoyun frowned. That's what happened. Regardless of whether the Poison Palm sect is related to He Tiandi and the sect leader of the Black sect, I have to go to the western region to investigate the whereabouts of Nayland Mayer and Wang Min, Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. Okay, I'll inform the Qianhe sect and the Kunlun Celestial Mountain. Long Dade, go inform the southern region's Blazing Phoenix tribe and the ancient Void Dragon tribe to accompany me. Bai Xiaoyun nodded and said. Just as Long Dade was about to leave again, Jiang Chen's words stunned them. No need, I'll go to the western region myself this time. Jiang Chen shook his head and said indifferently. You're crazy! That Poison Palm sect's strength is clearly not to be underestimated. Even their disciples are at the immortal monarch realm. What about the sect master, elders, and protectors? With your current immortal cultivation, it's impossible for you to be a match for them. Bai Xiaoyun stared at Jiang Chen and said in a low voice. I know, Jiang Chen said. You know and you still want to go by yourself? Bai Xiaoyun couldn't understand Jiang Chen's thoughts. If he is really related to the Black Sky Emperor and the Black Gate sect master, you are not going to save people. You are asking for trouble. Maybe you will even lose your life. If I were to gather all the experts there, it would be too much of a fanfare. Besides, that disciple of the Poison Palm sect doesn't know who I am. If I go there myself, I'll be able to get more information. Jiang Chen's attitude was very firm. Sure, but I have to stay by your side. Bai Xiaoyun took a step back. When are we leaving? Jiang Chen asked. Any time, Bai Xiaoyun said. Hall Master Luo, I'll leave the snow region to you. Jiang Chen stood up and ordered. If you encounter any trouble, go to the nearest Kunlun Celestial Mountain and ask for help. Young master, be careful. Luo Fu nodded. Eldest senior brother Dade, let's go. Jiang Chen exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and walked out of the room. Long Dade changed back to his original form and carried the two of them towards the west. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the horizon, leaving only a faint afterimage. Luo Fu stood at the door. After a moment, he immediately informed his subordinates and asked all the disciples in the hall to rush to the town. Before Jiang Chen returned, he had to protect the sacred mountain from any harm. From the north region to the west region. It was a very long distance. Even though Long Dade's speed was very fast, when the three of them arrived, it was already close to half a month later. Compared to the picturesque scenery and spiritual beasts of the south region, and compared to the north and east region where there were many sects and clans, the west region was obviously much more lively and prosperous. After Jiang Chen and the two of them arrived at the west region, they entered a city. This was Yunxi City, which was controlled by the Yunxi sect of the west region. The strength of this sect was enough to be ranked among the top in the entire immortal world. There was a saying in the immortal world. The west region could not lose the Yunxi sect, just like how the north region could not lose the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect. This saying not only proved the status of the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect, but also showed that the Yunxi sect was also a well-known sect in the west region. Unfortunately, the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect had been destroyed long ago. Although Jiang Chen had rebuilt it, there was still a long way to go before it could regain its former glory. On the other hand, the Yunxi sect had been standing in the west region for a long time without moving an inch. Have there been any changes in the west region in the past 10,000 years? Jiang Chen couldn't help but recall what Luo Fu had told him when he saw such a prosperous place. Yes. In the past 10,000 years, many sects suddenly rose out of thin air in the west region. These sects are not weak. Bai Xiaoyun thought for a moment, and said, Is the Black Poison sect one of them? Jiang Chen asked. It seems so. In the early years, Master once took me to travel the immortal world. I have never heard of a sect called the Black Poison sect in the west region. It may have just appeared in the past 10,000 years. Bai Xiaoyun nodded. It seems that these sects are hiding a lot of secrets. Jiang Chen grinned. Yes, before you ascended, Master revealed to me that the great tribulation of the entire immortal world was coming. Now it seems that if the news we received is not false, this tribulation should be the reappearance of the Black Sky Emperor. It's just that Emperor Qianji has already fallen. Even if the three immortal kings join forces, I'm afraid they are not his opponent. Bai Xiaoyun lowered her voice. It's not that easy to resurrect the immortal emperor. Jiang Qin suddenly felt that the burden on his shoulders had become heavier. As the son of that woman and the young master of the Tianji sect, once the Black Sky Emperor was resurrected, he would be his primary target. Having an immortal emperor as an enemy, it was exciting to think about. I say, the two of you sure are comfortable sitting on my body. After traveling for half a month, the immortal energy in my body is completely depleted. Can we find a place to eat something first and rest for a few days before we continue? Long Dade reached out and put his hand on Jiang Chen's shoulder and said weakly. They found an inn in the town to stay. Jiang Chen was not in a hurry. He could only start after investigating the situation of the Black Poison sect. As for the safety of Nayland Mayer and Wang Min, Jiang Chen once again used Shifang deduction on the way. Although he did not get a specific answer, he vaguely knew that the two would not be in too much danger. When Jiang Chen and the other two arrived in the West region, the people of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect also launched an investigation and reported all the information to Jiang Chen, who then passed it to Jiang Chen. After resting in the inn for 2 days, Jiang Chen suddenly felt a familiar aura. Chapter 1866. Jieisho. Jiang Chen pushed open the door to the room. As he had already concealed his cultivation base and aura, he was not worried about being discovered. Moreover, Jiang Chen knew that Jieisho had sustained significant injuries when he fought with him. Jieisho had escaped from Love Despair Valley and returned to the western region. He should have just arrived a few days later than Jiang Chen had arrived on Long Dade. Is that the person you fought with? Bai Xiaoyun walked out when she heard Jiang Chen's words. That's right. I sensed the smell of the Black Plague from his aura. Jiang Chen sneered. Eldest senior brother, think of a way to capture him. We'll definitely be able to get some clues from him. Leaning against the window, Jiang Chen happened to see Jiao Yishuo walk in from the city gate and blend into the bustling crowd. Leave it to me. He's just an injured immortal lord. Bai Xiaoyun nodded and prepared to go down. However, before he could take 2 steps, more than 10 armored guards suddenly emerged from the crowd. They dispersed the crowd and surrounded Jieishuo. A pink flower was painted on the chest of this group of people. How dare you enter Yinshi City so openly? Come with us! The person standing in front of Jieishuo had a cultivation base of a half-step immortal lord. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and grabbed Jiao Yishuo's arm as he berated him. Jieishuo did not resist and left with them. What's the meaning of this? Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun were stunned. You don't know, right? Our Yinshi city has very strict rules. From the sect master to the disciples of the Poison Palm sect, no one is allowed to step into the city. Look at his black robe and the fact that he was taken away by Yunwei personally. It's enough to prove that he's from the Poison Palm sect. Before Jiang Chen had finished speaking, the owner of the hostel came up to them. Seeing Jiang Chen and Xia Xiaoluo staring outside, he explained to them. Then who is this Yunwei? Jiang Chen asked. Yunwei is the captain of the guards in Yinshi City. He is also a capable disciple of the Yinshi sect lord. I heard that he will be promoted to an elder in a few years' time. The innkeeper was obviously envious when he mentioned Yunwei. Feng Yishuo was taken away by the Yinshi sect? Jiang Chen felt a little helpless. That's right. He's from the Poison Scorpion sect. Since he trespassed into our Yinshi city, it's only natural that he would be taken away by the Yinshi sect. The boss replied subconsciously, but after he reacted, he immediately distanced himself from Jiang Chen. The two of you can't be related to the Poison Palm sect, right? It doesn't matter. I just know this person, Jiang Chen said casually. I advise you to draw a clear line between you and the Scorpion Poison sect. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble sooner or later. Although I've stopped cultivating a long time ago and have opened an inn to make a living, I know that the Scorpion Poison sect and the other sects are not good people. Seeing that Jiang Chen did not seem to be lying, the owner relaxed. Oh? Other than the Poison Palm sect, how many other sects are there? Jiangchen placed his hand on the window and became interested. Forget it. I can't tell you these things anymore. You're on your own now. The boss was obviously a little afraid. Just as he was about to speak, he swallowed all the words back into his stomach. Seeing that the boss had left, and that Feng Yixua had been taken away, Jiangchen held his forehead. Now, should we continue to investigate the Poison Palm sect or go to the Yinshi sect to find this guy? Bai Xiaoyun also felt a little helpless. Even if the people from the Yinshi sect had arrived 2 minutes later, he would have been able to capture Feng Yixuo. Let's go to the Yinshi sect, Jiangchen said after a brief analysis. Let's go and pay them a visit. Bai Xiaoyun lifted her feet and walked out of the inn. However, her expression became a little strange. I heard that the Yinshi sect leader seemed to have a romantic past with Master. Ah? Jiangchen widened his eyes. That's what I heard. Master didn't tell me clearly. Bai Xiaoyun shrugged. This half-hearted dog of a man. Jiangchen cursed Bai Xianling in his heart. On the surface, she acted as if she was extremely infatuated with her mother. However, behind her back, she had hooked up with the sect leaders of other sections. She was indeed a person of the same moral character as her father. Leaving Long Day to rest in the inn, Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun walked towards the Yinshi sect together. This town was slightly bigger than the ones Jiangchen had seen in the East region and North region. When they arrived at the Yinshi sect, almost 8 hours had passed. Looking at the mountain in front of him that was shrouded in clouds and mist, as well as the faintly discernible sect in the mountain, Jiangchen stopped in his tracks. This time, he had come to the West region. Due to He Tiandi and the sect leader of the Black sect, Jiangchen wanted to completely conceal his identity and conduct the investigation to avoid unnecessary trouble. However, now that he was facing the Yinshi sect in the West region, if he did not reveal his identity, he would not be valued at all. Moreover, if he tried to attack Feng Yixuo, he might even offend the Yinshi sect. Just as Jiangchen was thinking, Bai Xiaoyun did not stop at all and walked directly to the foot of the mountain. Inform them that we are from the Divine Secret Pavilion, and we are here to visit. Looking at the Yinshi sect disciple in front of her, Bai Xiaoyun said without hesitation. Wait a moment. The disciple could sense that Bai Xiaoyun was not an ordinary person. After cupping his hands, he immediately rushed up the mountain. Eldest senior brother, you just said it out loud? Jiangchen walked in front of him and asked helplessly. So what? The sect leader of the Yinshi sect and master are old friends. We only said that we are from the Divine Secret Pavilion and did not reveal any information about the 10,000 Creations Immortal sect. Moreover, on account of Master, the sect leader should not make things difficult for us. Bai Xiaoyun shrugged. All right. After thinking about it, what Bai Xiaoyun said made sense. Jiangchen agreed. After waiting for half an hour, the disciple came down from the mountain. Bai Xiaoyun cleared her throat and prepared to go up the mountain as an honored guest to be treated by the Yinshi sect. The disciple pointed at Bai Xiaoyun and Jiangchen and shouted, Hurry up and leave this place. The Great Elder has already said that if anyone from the Divine Secret Pavilion dares to come near, they will be kicked out. What? Bai Xiaoyun was confused. She did not expect to be treated like this. Eldest senior brother, is this your idea? Are you sure that Master and the sect leader of the Yinshi sect have a romantic past? Or do they have an endless hatred for each other? Jiangchen did not know whether to laugh or cry. It would be better if they did not announce their sect. They might even have a chance to enter. F***ck, how would I know? Bai Xiaoyun felt very wrong. A dignified immortal king could not even enter the sect. If this spread, wouldn't it be a joke? Hurry up and leave! The disciple waved his hand and did not say anything else. Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun had no choice but to turn around. Chapter 1867. Eldest senior brother, this is your idea. Jiangchen pulled a long face. If not for the fact that Bai Xiaoyun was an immortal king and his eldest senior brother, Jiangchen would have given her a good punch or two. If I remember correctly, Master does have an affair with the sect leader of the Yunshi sect. Could it be that they have a conflict? Bai Xiaoyun looked aggrieved. Then what should we do? We can't even enter her sect, let alone find Chiaishuo. Jiang Chen sighed and said helplessly. Let's think of another way. Bai Xiaoyun sounded dispirited. Just as the two of them were about to leave, a voice suddenly came from behind them. The sect leader personally said that you can go in. The disciple hurriedly walked out and blocked Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun's path. Hearing this, Bai Xiaoyun immediately smiled. Then, she patted Jiang Chen's shoulder and said excitedly, Little junior brother, look, the great elder chased us away and the sect leader personally called us back. I told you that she has an affair with our master, but you didn't believe me. These words made Jiang Chen's expression completely freeze. You too, although the sect leader agreed to let you in, you can't speak carelessly. Be careful that you don't come out alive when you enter. The disciple was also shocked by Bai Xian's words. Even his expression was a little out of control. He had lived in the sect for tens of thousands of years and had never heard of the sect leader's private affairs. Moreover, the entire sect was strictly prohibited from talking about it. If one violated the rules, they would be punished at best. In the worst case, their cultivation would be crippled and they would be chased out of the sect. In the long history of the Yunshi sect, this had happened before. They followed the disciple into the sect and looked at the long mountain path. The two of them followed behind him and went up the mountain. It looked like a mountain, but as they went up the mountain path, they could see many spacious areas. There were many palaces and bungalows built here. There were also disciples in various colors of the sect's uniforms cultivating. However, although the colors of their uniforms were different, there was a pink flower on their chests. This is your first time in the Yunshi sect, right? Our sect is divided into 9 mountains. The sect leader is waiting for you at the top of the mountain. This is the first time I've seen the sect leader personally greet a guest since I joined the sect. In the past, even if there were people waiting to visit the sect leader, it would be the sect elders coming out to greet them. The disciple walked in front. Perhaps it was because he hadn't seen anyone from the outside world for a long time, but he spoke as he led the way. The more he spoke, the more excited he became. He almost put his arm around Jiang Chen's shoulder. Jiang Chen answered casually. An hour later, Jiang Chen stood at the top of the mountain. The mountain peak of the Yunshi sect was so tall that it pierced through the clouds. If one stood on a wide platform, they would feel as if they were stepping on the clouds if they stretched out their feet. The town below could no longer be seen clearly. One could even see the northern region from the western region as far as the eye could see. Gentlemen, this is our first level mountain. The disciple stood at the entrance of the sect and pointed at the grand hall. Little brother, lead the way. Looking at such a majestic sect, Bai Xiaoyun couldn't help but feel a little inferior. Clearly, Bai Xianling and Yunshi had an affair. However, looking at Yunshi's sect and her own divine secret pavilion, she didn't even have the courage to stand here if her junior brother had renovated it after he became the sect leader. TSK, I really don't know how Master has the nerve to be with her. If it were me, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to enter her sect. Bai Xiaoyun crossed her arms and sighed. You can't talk nonsense. If the sect leader or the sect elders hear you, you may not be able to leave the sect. I've never seen anyone who dares to joke about the sect leader. The disciple was frightened by Bai Xiaoyun's words and said hurriedly. Got it, got it. Bai Xiaoyun waved her hand and walked directly into the sect. In the reception hall, Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun were sitting inside. The disciple went to inform the sect leader. After a short while, a figure suddenly appeared outside the reception hall. She floated in on a white cloud, wearing a light pink dress. Her entire temperament was like a blooming flower, making people unconsciously want to stay away and watch from afar, not daring to approach. Junior Jiang Chen greets the sect leader of Yunshi sect. Junior Bai Xiaoyun greets the sect leader of Yunshi sect. The two of them stood up at the same time and saluted her. You are the disciples of Divine Secret Pavilion, aren't you? Yunshi walked into the reception hall and glanced at the two of them. She sat down on the chair and asked softly. I'm Bai Xiaoyun, the eldest disciple of Divine Secret Pavilion. This is my junior brother and the current pavilion leader of Divine Secret Pavilion, Jiang Chen. Bai Xiaoyun took a step forward and said in a deep voice. Oh? The pavilion leader of Divine Secret Pavilion has changed? Yunxi looked at Jiang Chen with a trace of doubt in her clear eyes. Master doesn't care much about the affairs of the pavilion anymore. He simply gave the position of sect leader to junior brother. Although Bai Xiaoyun was boasting just now, he didn't even have the courage to raise his head in front of Yunxi. Little guy, raise your head and let me see. Yunxi waved her slender fingers and her voice was slightly gentler. Jiang Chen didn't care and raised his head directly. However, the way she called him little guy made the corners of his mouth twitch. He only looked young, but compared to the title of little guy, there was a huge gap between him and this little guy. Sect leader Yunxi looks familiar. Looking at the exquisite woman in front of him, Jiang Chen was a little dazed. Her appearance was somewhat similar to someone he had seen before. He knew that Bai Xiaolan was Bai Xuanling's daughter. Bai Xiaolan and sect leader Yunxi in front of him were somewhat similar in their gestures. Especially their eyebrows, they were simply carved from the same mold. Oh? Why do you look so unfamiliar to me? Yunxi was slightly surprised. Maybe sect leader Yunxi is too beautiful. You are exactly the same as the perfect woman in my mind. Thinking that Bai Xianling had never mentioned Yunxi and that the great elder had chased him and Bai Xiaoyun out, Jiang Chen quickly changed his tone and said casually. However, when he said this, Bai Xiaoyun's jaw almost dropped. Damn it! This guy dared to flirt with the sect leader of Yunxi's sect and his master's woman. After saying this, Jiang Chen also felt a little regretful. Pfft, you're quite humorous, kid. Yunxi didn't think much of it. Instead, she was amused by Jiang Chen's witty words. Jiang Chen almost fell into a daze when he saw her smile. Tell me, what do you two distinguished guests from afar want to do in Yunxi sect? I remember that there hasn't been any contact between our two sects for tens of thousands of years. Yunxi chuckled and asked softly. Sect leader Yunxi, it's like this. Previously, Yunwei captured a person in the town. This person had attacked me before, so I want to see him. Jiang Chen cleared his throat and said. Chapter 1868. Oh? Who did Yunwei take away? Yunxi did not know much about the situation. It was impossible for her to know everything in such a big sect. Someone from the poison sect. Jiang Chen hesitated for a while, but he still said it. Based on her relationship with Bai Xianling and the fact that the Yunxi sect did not allow people from the poison sect to enter, it was obvious that Yunxi was on the same side as him. Someone from the poison sect dares to enter Yunxi city. Someone, inform Yunwei and ask him to come here to see me. Yunxi frowned slightly. Apparently, Jiang Chen's words made her unhappy. She said softly, and the disciple standing at the door immediately turned around and left after receiving the order. After a while, Yunwei strode in from outside. When he saw that there were strangers sitting inside, he looked at Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun in shock. However, he still walked to the middle of the hall and knelt down on one knee in front of Yunxi. Yunwei, I heard that you just took someone away from the town? Yunxi raised her hand gently. Yes, sect leader. I sensed the aura of the poison sect, so I rushed over with my men. I did not expect it to be the eldest disciple of the poison sect. Yunwei nodded. You may leave. Yunxi waved her hand at him. Yunwei did not say anything. After saluting again, he left the hall. Is there any grudge between the Tianji Pavilion and the poison sect? After Yunwei left, Yunxi looked at Jiang Chen. She did not understand why Bai Xianling would give the position of sect leader to a junior. No, it's just a personal grudge between me and the poison sect. Jiang Chen shook his head and did not involve the Tianji Pavilion. If you want to see that person, you have to get Yunwei's permission. After all, the safety of the entire Yunxi city is in his hands. As the sect leader, I can't interfere too much. However, since you came from the Tianji Pavilion in the north region, I will arrange 2 guest rooms for you. If you want to have some fun in the Yunshi sect, I welcome you. Yunshi continued. Thank you, sect leader Yunshi. Jiangchen cupped his hands at her again. Under Yunshi's arrangement, Jiangchen and Bai Shaoyun stayed in a guest room in Yichong Mountain. After a disciple delivered some supplies, he ignored the two of them. Sitting in the room, Jiangchen was thinking about how to meet Yunwei and how to explain this matter, but no matter how he thought about it, he still couldn't come up with a good idea. He might as well say it directly. Someone who was valued by Yunshi should be trustworthy. While Bai Shaoyun was resting, Jiangchen inquired about Yunwei's residence. Walking down the mountain, Jiangchen arrived at the entrance of Mount Sanchong. Although this place was not as grand as the first-level mountain, it was still very majestic. The waves of energy coming from inside made him realize that the disciples here were probably like Yunwei. They could be considered the most ferocious disciples in the entire Yunshi sect. Walking in, Jiangchen saw many disciples cultivating. This group of people did not even look at Jiangchen. After all, they were the ones with the most outsiders in the entire Yunshi sect. They were already used to this. I would like to meet Yunwei. Jiangchen walked to the entrance of the main hall and said to the disciple guarding outside. Who are you? The disciple sized up Jiangchen. The pavilion master of the Tianji pavilion. Jiangchen glanced into the main hall and saw Yunwei sitting inside. I have met Yunwei once before. Brother! Aren't you a guest at the sect master's first-level mountain? Why are you at my Mount Sanchong? Yunwei happened to see Jiangchen standing outside, too. It occurred to him that since the headmaster had come to greet him in person, he guessed Jiangchen's identity must be extraordinary. So, he put down the things in his hands and hurried out with a smile. Deputy Sect Master Yunwei, Jiangchen said casually. This was the first time they had met, so he had to carry Yunwei up. Yunwei was shocked by Jiangchen's words and broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly waved his hands and explained. Brother, you can't say that. I'm only a mountain master now. I'm not even an elder. How can I be called a deputy sect master? If word of this got out, coupled with the rumors, he would very likely make enemies in the sect. Although the Yunshi sect was now one of the top sects in the western region, there were still many conflicts within the sect. The mountain masters of the various mountains did not get along well with each other. Although they were loyal to Yunshi, they would still fight with each other behind her back. Mountain Master Yunwei. Jiangchen changed his greeting. Please come in. Yunwei heaved a sigh of relief and quickly led Jiangchen in. After they walked into the hall, Yunwei asked all of the disciples to leave. Then he poured a cup of hot tea for Jiangchen. He had heard that the sect master seemed to have some rumors with the pavilion master of the Tianji pavilion. However, those rumors were limited to some within the sect and were completely forbidden to discuss them. Yunwei had never believed it. In his opinion, no one in the entire immortal world was worthy of the sect master. However, now that the sect master had personally welcomed the people from the Tianji pavilion, it indirectly proved those rumors. However, cough, cough. Brother, are you really the pavilion master of the Tianji pavilion? Yunwei coughed and looked at Jiangchen in front of him. He really could not understand how the sect master could have such a relationship with a third-stage immortal realm cultivator. How can this be fake? Mountain Master Yunwei, if you don't believe me, you can go to the northern region and ask around, Jiangchen said with a faint smile. He took a sip of the tea and said, There's no need to ask around. Yunwei laughed awkwardly. Mountain Master Yunwei, you took someone away from Yunshi City earlier. I have some grudges with him. I hope you can let me meet him and ask him some questions. Jiangchen did not say any more nonsense. The sooner he found out about the poison sect from Feng Yishuo, the sooner he could rescue Naylan Mayer and Wang Min. Oh? Do you know who he is? The smile on Yunwei's face disappeared and he became serious. Of course I know. He is the eldest disciple of the poison sect, Feng Yishuo, Jiangchen said honestly. Yunshi sect has a rule that the people from the poison sect are not allowed to come close to Yunshi City. Not only did this person come close, he even walked in with great fanfare. According to the rules, I have to catch him. However, I want to know what grudges there are between the sect master Jiangchun and the eldest disciple of the poison sect. Yunwei pinched his fingers and looked at Jiangchun. The people from the poison scorpion sect destroyed a sect in the northern region and captured the sect master and elders. I have a pretty good relationship with this sect, so I want to rescue them. Jiangchun hesitated for a while. When he thought about how Yunwei was sect master Yinxi's right-hand man, he no longer had any scruples. Bai Xuanling's woman should be able to suppress her subordinate. Chapter 1869. The poison sect dared to attack a sect in the north region? Yunwei was shocked to hear this news. That's right. Jiangchun nodded. I'll take you to see him. Yunwei did not hesitate. After drinking the tea in front of him, he led Jiangchun out of the main hall. Jiangchun saw the prison of the Yinxi sect in a place guarded by several disciples. Those who violated the rules of the Yinxi sect and Yinxi city are imprisoned here. Everyone, including Qie Yishuo, is imprisoned here. However, Qie Yishuo is seriously injured now. I'm afraid he had no choice but to break in because he wanted to treat his injuries in the town. Yunwei greeted the disciples, and then he walked in with Jiangchun. I was the one who injured him, Jiangchun said casually as they walked along the dark and damp passage. Oh? Yunwei looked sideways. A third-stage immortal could seriously injure an immortal lord. Was this King joke? However, when he thought about it, Jiangchun was the pavilion master of the Divine Secret Pavilion and the man of Sect Master Yunxi. It made sense for him to have such strength. Otherwise, he would really doubt the sect master's taste. Almost 20 minutes later, the two of them walked to the back of the prison. In the darkness, Jiangchun sensed Qie Yishuo's aura. Although he was injured, his aura was gradually stabilizing. He just could not exert a stable strength. Qie Yishuo, I brought an acquaintance to see you. Yunwei reached out and opened the window beside him. A beam of light shone in and shone on Qie Yishuo. Yunwei, there is no enmity between us. I only entered the Yunxi city because I was seriously injured. Let me buy some medicine. As long as my injuries recover, I will leave immediately. I will definitely not cause trouble in the Yunxi city. Qie Yishuo lowered his head. He had never encountered such an unlucky thing in his life. He was ordered to return to the Love Valley to search for treasures. Who would have thought that he would encounter such a powerful cultivator who forced him into such a situation? When he finally returned to the western region to recuperate, he was captured by the Yunxi sect. You're right. But what I said was, someone wants to see you. Yunwei stared at him. It wasn't as if he was afraid of causing trouble for the sect. He should just kill this kind of shady person with a single palm strike. Who are you? I don't even know your Yinxi sect. Qie Yishuo shook his head, unable to arouse the slightest bit of interest. What he wanted to do now was to leave the Yunxi sect as soon as possible and report everything that had happened in the Love Valley to the sect. Brother Gio, it's me. Jiangchun stepped forward and said with a smile. You! Upon hearing this familiar voice, Qie Yishuo raised his head and looked at Jiangchun in horror. Why are you in the Yunxi sect? Why can't I stay in the Yunxi sect? Tell me the whereabouts of the sect master of Love Despair Valley, the elders, and the other disciples. Otherwise, you may never be able to leave this place. Jiangchun narrowed his eyes at him and said indifferently, Give up. I won't tell you anything. When Qie Yishuo saw Jiangchun, he already knew the consequences of his actions. All right, then take your secret and leave the immortal world. Jiangchun sneered and gathered immortal power in his palm. Qie Yishuo was injured and his strength was restricted by the Yunxi sect. Jiangchun's palm strike could take his life. Qie Yishuo did not struggle. Wait, you can't kill him. Seeing that Jiangchun really wanted to kill him, Yunwei hurriedly spoke up to stop him. Why? Jiangchun frowned slightly. Yunwei pulled Jiangchun aside and said in a low voice, The lords of the ninth peak of the Yunxi school aren't of the same mind. If you kill him, you'll definitely offend several sects and schools, led by the Black Poison School. You won't be able to deal with these lords. If I can't kill him, am I supposed to keep him? Jiang Chen asked. The purpose of locking him up here is to find an opportunity to kill everyone who intrudes into our Yunshi city, from the poison sect master to the ordinary disciples. But now is not the time. All right, I'll abide by your rules. But I didn't expect the Yunshi sect master to be unable to suppress the other mountain masters. Jiang Chen felt helpless. This can't be helped. The Yunshi sect is too big. Every mountain master has hundreds of disciples under him, and some of them have even formed their own sect. Even the sect master has difficulty controlling them. Moreover, the situation in the western region is very complicated now. Once we openly kill someone, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of trouble. Yunwei sighed. These words had always been in his heart. Mountain Master Yunwei, what exactly happened in the western region these years? I heard that several powerful sects have appeared out of nowhere, including the poison sect. Is that true? Jiang Chen asked with a frown. Indeed. Yunwei nodded and said, Since we can't kill him, we can only wait for him to speak. Jiang Chen turned to look at Jinishuo and continued to speak to Yunwei. I hope the mountain master can help me keep an eye out for news about the poison sect. As for Jinishuo, let me know when you can kill him. I still have some questions to ask him. No problem. Yunwei agreed immediately. After leaving the prison, Jiang Chen returned to the guest room. Now that he couldn't kill Jinishuo, the only thing he could do was wait in the Yunshi sect and see if he could find out any news about the poison sect. On the peak of the first-level mountain, Yunshi was sitting there, dealing with the sect's affairs. Sect Master, did you let the people from the Heavenly Secret Pavilion in? An old woman who was about 70 years old staggered in. Although she looked like she would die at any time, the fluctuations of an immortal king could be felt from her body. This person was the first elder of the Yunshi sect, Yunji. Yes. Yunshi put down the things in her hands and stretched. Sect leader, I remember clearly what that bastard by Xianling did to you in the past. If he wasn't one of the 3 celestial kings, I wouldn't have let him leave the western region alive. How dare you let him come here today? Yunji walked up to Yunshi, and her words were full of anger. He didn't come. Yunshi's eyes flickered. Stop pretending. The disciple informed me that the pavilion master and the first disciple of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion have come to visit. Yunji sneered. Pfft. Yunshi covered her mouth and chuckled. First elder, the pavilion master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion is no longer by Xianling, but a disciple named Jiang Chen. You don't know about the matters outside the sect, so you don't know about this. Is Bai Xianling dead? Yunji asked excitedly. I don't think so. Yunshi shrugged and looked a little sad. I haven't seen him for a long time. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.